What's up, boxing fans? This is TBE Boxing, back at you again. Today's topic, Deontay Wilder posts new video with his friend / Ldbc Yes Man in response to Mark Breland's interview. Let's chop it up and see what it's all about.
Got the money for minutes, pretty bitch, gotta show me titties. This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? That life before riches, huh? That life before riches, huh? Pretty bitch, show me titties, huh? And I got the glazzy run up on me, I'ma make you get it. I'ma make you get it.
Okay, boxing fans, let's talk some boxing. All right, so Deontay Wilder posts new video on 78 Sports. Let's chop it up, talk about it. You know, this video was in response to Mark Breland's video. Okay, basically Mark Breland came out with his video after months of silence. Basically, haven't given any interview since, you know, the wild accusations by Deontay Wilder that Mark Breland spiked his water. Finally, Mark Breland has come out with his, you know, with a response basically to these accusations that Deontay Wilder, you know, made against him. Okay, and so Deontay Wilder came out with his own video in response to the video. So it's a response to a response. Okay, so yeah, Mark Breland had a lot to say. Okay, he spoke at length, almost an hour, and he basically said a lot of things that we more or less suspected previously. And as you know, when Wilder made these, you know, wild accusations against Mark Breland, he never actually provided any proof, you know, to bolster his accusation. Okay, and in this new video that Deontay Wilder came out with in response to Mark Breland's interview, he still hasn't produced any evidence or any proof of his accusations against Mark Breland. Okay, or even against Fury, you know, as per you know, accusing Fury of cheating. And Mark Breland basically didn't really co-sign any of the cheating accusations made against Fury. He basically said in so many words he didn't think that Fury actually cheated, and if he did cheat, he pointed out that, you know, in terms of the glove gate, that is, he pointed out that JD's was the one that was in the room, you know, with the, you know, the commission, the boxing commission, as you know, in terms of being able to inspect the so-called glove that these, you know, that these guys are talking about in terms of the so-called glove gate. As for the water being spiked, you know, Mark Breland came out and said that, you know, it's crazy talk. And, you know, at this point, we more or less have to agree with him because there's been no proof to substantiate any of this accusations by Deontay Wilder that Mark Breland, you know, spiked his water. Okay, so this is where we are, you know, in terms of this these accusations. No real proof at all. Just, you know, accusations by Deontay Wilder, and nothing to actually substantiate his accusations. So we're gonna go in and, you know, and talk about these accusations, but, you know, I'm gonna try and wait to see a few people come into the chat. You know, we're gonna just comment on a few things in terms of what Mark Breland spoke about in the video. He spoke about the fact that, you know, Deontay Wilder didn't do any training, or didn't like to train, didn't hit the bag, didn't hit the speed bag, didn't like to hit the heavy bag, and that basically just liked to spar. Okay, that was what Mark Breland said in the interview. He made the point to say that, he didn't really think that the opponents that Deontay Wilder fought was much of anything, and that in actuality he could probably beat those opponents if they were to fight himself. So he basically saying that Deontay Wilder hasn't fought anybody. Okay. He said he had nothing to do with the water. Okay, and he had nothing to do with giving Deontay Wilder any water. He wasn't even around the water, he said. Okay. Also, he said he doesn't believe that Deontay Wilder could actually win in a fight against Tyson Fury at this point. Okay. And, most of all, the most damaging thing he actually said was, the most devastating thing I would think was that he said basically that Deontay Wilder's career is over. So that's a summary of some of the things that, Mark Breland said in his interview. The interview was with a British YouTube channel. Okay. Now, after the live, I'm going to leave a link in the panel below to the interview itself, so you can go and check it out if you want to do that. Okay, it was a pretty good interview, and Mark Breland had a lot to say in that interview. Okay, so naturally, not even a day later, Deontay Wilder came out with his own response to Mark Breland's interview. And basically, in that response, Deontay Wilder is feigning shock that Mark Breland, would say the things he said. Now, I'm not really sure where this shock is coming from and why he's so shocked at this, because at the end of the day, you level accusation against the man, and you don't expect the man to come back and to defend himself against these accusations, and you're gonna act like you're shocked that he would actually say the things that he said, okay, in response to you accusing him of spiking your water. Okay, and now, he didn't just refute the accusation of the water spiking, but he went on to say a couple other things, like I just mentioned, in relation to his relationship with Deontay Wilder, and what occurred during the many years that he has been with the Wilder team, and how Wilder conduct himself in terms of his career as a professional boxer. And a lot of things he said, people basically suspected some of these things already, so some of it is nothing new. And even Wilder himself had basically confirmed some of the things that Mark Breland said, because Wilder himself said that, for example, when Mark Breland said that Wilder didn't like to train, Wilder himself has said that he just has to be perfect for 2 seconds, and the other guy has to be perfect for 12 rounds. So that says a lot right there. Okay, that doesn't, show that he's been, he's actually a guy who likes to train, because if you say something like that, that's, to me, that's a lack of respect, a lot of respect for boxing by saying something like that. So, some of the stuff that Mark Breland was saying is not really no surprise, and a lot of rumors been, flying around, on the internet about, Wilder's dedication to the sport, in terms of his training regime, and how he conducted himself in regards to that. And none of those rumors have been good, basically. So some people even say he doesn't even jog. So at the end of the day, what Mark Breland was talking about is old news, really. He just came out and basically confirmed a lot of the rumors that's been going around already, so it's not anything new, that Deontay Wilder wasn't really training, or really, dedicated to training like he's supposed to. We already knew that, and as you all know, in most of Deontay Wilder's fights, he basically loses almost every round, and then he somehow or the other he knocks out the person with that right hand, which is what he has. He's depending on, which is what he says, which is what he meant, how he means when he's talking about he only has to be perfect for 2 seconds because he just has to land that right hand, and once he lands it, the fight is over. And more or less, that's how many of his fights have went, if not most. Okay, he lands the right hand, and the fight is over. So basically, that's how his fights go. So now the interesting thing about this whole response by Deontay Wilder to me is the whole idea that he's shocked. He's very shocked at what the things that Mark Breland said. So I'm not really sure why Deontay Wilder is shocked at Mark Breland for saying the things he said and for defending himself against the accusation that he cheated. Not that he cheated, but that he spiked Deontay Wilder's water. Why would you be shocked at the man coming out and trying to defend himself about something like that? And the funny thing about this whole, what Deontay Wilder said in his interview is he said that Mark, even though he doesn't have any proof, but we all know how these things go, and that Mark Breland, he said he told JDs that he think Mark Breland did something to his water because Mark Breland didn't want to give him no water. And then we saw in the interview, Mark Breland said that he wasn't even around the water. So basically what Deontay Wilder is doing is confirming what Mark Breland is saying. He's saying that Mark Breland didn't want to give him any water. So you're confirming the fact that Mark Breland said that he wasn't even around the water. So he didn't give you any water. So the fact that he didn't, so it sounds to me like, after Deontay Wilder listened to the interview with Mark Breland, and Mark Breland said he wasn't even around the water, he came back out and says, oh, well, the man didn't want to give me no water. So he's confirming it, but trying to make it seem that it was somehow nefarious that Mark Breland wasn't around the water, because he's trying to say Mark Breland didn't give him any water. This is weird. You couldn't make this stuff up, man. This is some crazy stuff that we see going on here with Deontay Wilder. So, now you had to have listened to the interview to be able to come up with an excuse like that, okay? But at the same time, during the interview with 78 Sports, Deontay Wilder said some people told him about the interview. He was coming off a plane and, he just heard about it. He didn't. So basically it was implying that he didn't actually see the interview. But after you hear him talk, you can tell that he listened to that interview more than once, okay? Because he knew everything about the interview. Nobody couldn't tell you all those details. Okay, so you listened to the interview, and then you called up your boy and told him, "Hey man, I gotta go on there and say something about what this guy is saying," and that's what happened. Okay, so that was pretty funny. Well, not funny in a funny way, but in an ironic way, that he would come up and say that, even though I don't have any proof, but I told JD's, that something I think my water is spiked, and I think he had something to do with that, and because the man didn't want to give me any water. So the fact that he didn't give you any water, and the fact that he wasn't around the water, you're trying to use that against him. Okay, so that obviously you was listening to what he was saying, and so you had to come up with that excuse. That was a calculated excuse right there. That was a calculated thing that he did with that whole water thing by saying what he said. You know what I mean? So yeah, so basically, man, when I listen to that, people, a lot of people don't really listen closely, and you have to listen closely when people are talking, okay? And when I listen to what Deontay Wilder is saying, to me, the whole thing is pathetic, really, okay? Deontay Wilder needs to get himself a publicist and stop talking. Don't say anything else, man. Just keep your mouth shut, okay? Let your publicist do the talking for you, okay? If people have any questions, and that's that, okay? You shouldn't be out there saying the things that you're saying, because basically you just incriminate yourself. At the end of the day, Mark Breland, if he really chose to be, really messed up about this whole thing, he could sue Deontay Wilder for defamation of character, and he would probably win. more than I would give him a 90% chance of winning in court against Deontay Wilder if he sued Deontay Wilder for defamation of character. Okay, because it's obvious that Deontay Wilder have no proof, and he said that himself on this video. So, you know, he said he had no proof, but you just know certain things. He said some things you just know. How do you just know some things? I mean, this is a serious accusation you're making against a man. Okay, that's gonna, basically, damage his career. So you have to have proof when you make accusations like this. You can't just say something that you know. And I'll guarantee you, if Mark Breland was to take Deontay Wilder to court, he'd probably win in a defamation of character lawsuit against Deontay Wilder. Okay, because at the end of the day, Mark Breland have more proof and evidence of defamation of character against Deontay Wilder than Deontay Wilder have proof that Tyson Fury cheated in the fight. Okay, so that's the way I see it. Again, Mark Breland has more proof of a defamation of character against Deontay Wilder than Deontay Wilder has proof or evidence that Tyson Fury cheated in the fight. Okay, so in all actuality, Deontay Wilder could be taken to court by Mark Breland, okay, for defamation of character, and could probably win a lot of money from Deontay Wilder if you wanted to do that, if you decide to pursue such a course, okay. And if I was him, I would sue Deontay Wilder for defamation of character, because he's almost guaranteed to win, because Deontay Wilder has been on the internet, basically convicting himself with his own mouth by the things that he's been saying. Okay. And so, and without any proof whatsoever. So not only doesn't he have any proof against Mark Breland, he has no proof against Tyson Fury either. And so we haven't seen any proof. But again, Deontay Wilder was on the interview, saying a lot of different things, man. I mean, like, he came up with, he's still talking about all this king stuff that he was talking about. I'm the king, and what the king is gonna do this, and the king is gonna rise again, and I'm a king, but if you're a king, then you're supposed to have a kingly character. Okay, and so I'm not seeing that Deontay Wilder is displaying a kingly character in these accusations that he's making against Mark Breland. And so I mean, even Tyson Fury, I mean, I'm not gonna say, that a man can't, decide. You can call yourself whatever you want, but at the end of the day, to basically act like you're shocked that Mark Breland is coming out and saying the things that he's saying. And, those things that Mark Breland said must have, hit Deontay Wilder to the core, because he came out immediately. It's not even a day after. It's hours after Mark Breland came out. He came out right after and tried to refute what Mark Breland was saying. And he didn't even really refute what Mark Breland was saying. He just up there saying, "Oh, I don't understand why he would come out and say these things." I mean, I have my family. I had this man around my family, and he's gonna come out. But you accuse the man of trying to poison you. So what did you expect? I mean, the lack of awareness displayed by Deontay Wilder is mind blowing. I mean, it's stunning. It's incredible. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, you actually are saying what you're saying after you accuse a guy of spiking your water. You accuse him of all these, basically, for want of a better word, crimes. And then you're shocked and surprised that, first of all, that he would defend himself against that, okay? And that he would say some of the things that he's been saying, after you accuse him, and you are surprised of that. Well, how can you be surprised? I mean, what the hell are you talking about? How is that surprising? I mean, so when I'm listening to Deontay Wilder, man, I mean, it's almost as if you listen to a broken man, really. I think that defeat, and I think Mark Breland said it perfectly. Some people just can't take a defeat. And I think that Deontay Wilder epitomizes that. You know, he epitomized the person that just can't take a defeat. I mean, he's making every excuse in the book and then some as to why he lost. I mean, at no point in time in any of this things that Deontay Wilder has been saying has he taken any shred of responsibility for anything that happened in the fight. Not even 1 inch, a millimeter of responsibility. Nothing. Everything is somebody else, somebody this, somebody that. I mean, the man's taking no responsibility whatsoever for nothing in the fight. I mean, you were the one in there fighting. Nobody can't go in the ring and fight with you. So, but yes, still you're making every excuse in the book. You're blaming everybody in the book for your defeat. Okay, I mean, you know, the lack of awareness that Deontay Wilder displaying is mind blowing. I mean, it's almost. I think Tyson Fury basically broke Deontay Wilder. Okay, he broke him. Okay, I mean, he dismantled him mentally and physically, and you know what we're seeing right now, I believe, is the result of that, because the things that Deontay Wilder is saying, in that interview, is that's shocking to me. Okay, the things that he's been saying, I mean, it's amazing, So, I mean, I don't know what else to say about that. I mean, to me, it's incredible. I mean, it's amazing. It's a sad thing to watch, really, if you want to really, talk about it. I mean, it's really a sad thing to see a man get broken down like that, dismantled piece by piece. Tyson Fury really got into his head, into Deontay Wilder's head, and really, tore him apart, really. And, I mean, when you listen to that interview by Deontay Wilder, it just, proved everything that I'm saying, that, Tyson Fury really did a job on him, not just physically, but mentally. He broke him down, okay? And what we're seeing is that Deontay Wilder right now. When Mark Breland said that Tyson Fury didn't train, he doesn't like to train. I mean, not Tyson Fury, but Deontay Wilder doesn't like to train. He doesn't like to hit the heavy bag, the speed bag, doesn't jump rope. He never came out and said that that's a lie. He basically, he didn't refute nothing that Mark Breland said. Okay, except for the fact that he said that Mark Breland was the one that spiked his water, even though he said he had no proof of that. Okay. So, but you know what you know. That's basically what he's saying. You know what you know. So, so when you look at everything that's been said, especially by Mark Breland, what Mark Breland has revealed to us, even though a lot of it is not really new, when you look at all of it, and then you look at the whole glove gate, Watergate, suit gate, when you look at everything, in totality, you have to say to yourself, this whole thing is a bunch of nonsense, really, from Deontay Wilder. I mean, just by the way he's, is expressing himself and what he's talking about and the things that he's saying, you see that the real truth lies in the fact of what Mark Breland is saying, that some people just can't take a loss. And we're seeing that Deontay Wilder is one of those people, and that basically in his first loss, he's basically falling apart. And that's what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. And, people, we've seen it play out right in front of us. Okay? I mean, what else are we going to say? Look at the way, it comes down to mental toughness, at the end of the day. But, Deontay Wilder has been drinking the Kool-Aid for a while now. Okay? And, see, this whole social media thing is can be a dangerous thing for a boxer. Okay? When you have these fanatical fans out there basically, egging you on and co-signing the things that you're saying, talking about the one punch as if it was the right hand of God and that nothing can stand in the way of his punch. And, I mean, when you start believing in all that stuff, it's a dangerous thing. And you know what the funny thing is about that whole thing? Those same fans, okay, are telling, are saying that, like the Blue Blood Sports and the Phantom Boxing and these guys are out there saying that, oh, Tyson Fury is ducking Deontay Wilder and he doesn't want to fight Deontay Wilder because he knows that with Deontay Wilder, it only takes one punch. It was the whole one punch nonsense that got Deontay Wilder in the problem that he's in now. But yet still these same fans are trying to push Deontay Wilder out there to fight Tyson Fury again, using the same strategy that he used in the first fight and the second fight. The strategy that got him to the point where he is now. They're trying to tell him to go in there and tell him to rely on this one punch. That the reason why reason why Tyson Fury don't want to fight is because he know that all Deontay Wilder needs is one punch. No, Deontay Wilder needs more than one punch. He needs to get back in the gym. I'm not saying that Deontay Wilder's career is over, even though I suspect it probably is. Okay, I think Mark Breland probably hit the nail on the head, and that Deontay Wilder's career is probably over. But I'm not going to say that, okay, because I think that if he does certain things, he couldn't come back. I mean, we saw that with AJ. But the thing is, does Deontay Wilder have the mental toughness to recover from such a defeat from Tyson Fury? Up until this point, he's not displaying that mental toughness. We haven't seen it, okay, and that's the thing that's troubling. Okay, he hasn't shown any degree of responsibility or taken any responsibility for what happened in the fight against Tyson Fury. He's blaming everyone but himself. So the mental toughness is not there. That should be there to where, and the ability to adjust. He's not showing any of that, because for you to adjust, you have to be able to take responsibility in the first place and then make the adjustment that's necessary. But we haven't seen Deontay Wilder take one shred of responsibility for anything that happened in this fight, and basically been blaming everyone and anyone but himself. Okay, so how can you make adjustments if you're not even taking responsibility for what happened? So, this is a serious issue for Deontay Wilder. So again, when Mark Breland says that his career is over, I think what Mark Breland is talking about is that very thing. The fact that he's not taking any responsibility for nothing that happened to him, okay, and that he's blaming everyone else. This is why, he won't be able to make the adjustment, and this is why more or less his career is probably over, okay? So, because in order for Deontay Wilder to come back from this, he's going to have to take responsibility for what happened in the ring, because you're the one that's in the ring. Nobody else is in the ring with you. Your trainer don't go in the ring with you. Okay, nobody. Your manager is not in the ring with you. You're the one in the ring, and in order for you to make adjustments, eventually you're going to have to take some kind of responsibility for what happened and make changes in your whole regime. In terms of how you train and the things that you need to do, because as Mark Breland has exposed, and we all knew this more or less, from rumors that we have heard, he doesn't like to train. He doesn't like to hit the bag. He doesn't like to jump rope. He doesn't like to jog. He doesn't like to do any of the things that are the foundation, of a good boxer in terms of training for a fight. Okay, he doesn't like to do any of that stuff. Again, and based on his philosophy of I only have to be perfect for 2 seconds, and the other guy got to be perfect for 12 rounds, tells you everything you need to know. So at the end of the day, when Mark Breland says that his career is over, more than likely, based on what we're seeing, it probably is. Unfortunately, I mean, it's an unfortunate thing to say, but I think that Mark Breland probably hit the nail on the head at this point. And but we're gonna see. I mean, only time will tell. Oh, Campos Vasquez is Wilder avoiding Martin. I'm hearing something about that. He's looking for Wilder is asking for more money than they're willing to provide for that fight. Okay, so it looks like he's not necessarily, he's not ready to take the fight. It looks like, and that he's asking for more money now. He's asking for too much money. That's what I'm hearing. Okay, that he's asking for too much money, and they don't want to give him the money that he's asking for, so he's holding out for more money at this point. So we'll see what happens if he actually takes the fight or not. Okay, but yeah, this is what I'm hearing. So I don't know if he's avoiding the fight necessarily, but he's definitely asking for more money. But because at the end of the day, you know, who wants to start over again from the bottom? I mean, you know, he's used to making, you know, he's been making, you know, not that much money in his career in the fight before he got to Ortiz and Fury. And so now, you know, after getting all that kind of money from these two big fights with Fury, now he's got to go back down to, you know, Charles Martin money now, which, you know, can't be that much. So basically he's got to start from scratch, okay? And he probably doesn't want to do that, okay? He wants, you know, to make big money, but if you want to make big money, you got to make big fights. You can't, you know, fight at Charles Martin and expect to make Dylan White money, or, you know, or Povetkin money, or Anthony Joshua money. So, you know, it is what it is. So, yeah, that's what I'm hearing, that Deontay Wilder is basically asking for more money for this fight, and they're not willing to give him the money he's looking for the fight. So we'll see if the fight actually gets made or not. We don't know, Campos Vasquez. So we'll see. Yeah, so now, like I said, I think that, you know, for me, based on what I'm hearing and seeing from Deontay Wilder, I think Tyson Fury broke him. Okay, definitely broke him mentally. I mean, he seems okay physically, but mentally, I think he's in a bad place. Okay, and that interview, I mean, you got to listen to that interview very closely with 78 Sports TV. I mean, really watch it and see what, you know, some of the things that Deontay Wilder is saying. It just doesn't make any sense, you know. You know, and, you know, he keeps talking about, you know, I just don't understand, you know, how this man can do this to me. I mean, what do you mean you don't understand how you can do this to you? You accuse the man of spiking your water. You're basically trying to derail the man's career. But you don't understand how he can say the things that he's saying. And he's not really saying anything malicious about Tyson Fury that we don't really suspect or know, really. He's not like he's, you know, spreading any rumors. I mean, he's the trainer. He knows what's going on in Tyson, in Deontay Wilder's training. I mean, we all know that Deontay Wilder don't like to really train. I mean, I've heard the rumors before. I mean, there's not the first, nothing that Mark Breland said was a surprise to me, because I've heard it all before from different sources. Okay, I've heard it before. So he's not saying anything new, really, as far as I'm concerned. Maybe other people might be surprised by what he said, but I'm not surprised by what he said, because I've heard it before. And not only have I heard it before, based on how Deontay Wilder performed in the ring, I mean, you can see that. Okay, you can see it, like his footwork is not there. Okay, I mean, you know, you can see that he gasses out sometimes in the ring. Okay, I mean, that's lack of training, lack of conditioning. Okay, I mean, you can see that his technique is not there, really. Okay, he's just depending on the one-punch knockout. And in terms of the quality of opponents, you know, as Mark Breland said, he can beat those guys that Deontay Wilder has been fighting. That's also true. Well, I mean, who has he really fought besides Ortiz and Fury? Okay, so, I mean, you know, now, you know, Deontay Wilder had a lot of opportunities when he first came onto the scene. Okay, he could have unified with Fury. Okay, and not Fury, I mean Klitschko, and he never took the opportunity, because again, his manager Shelly Finkel said that at the time, you know, Wilder had like 33 fights, he had just won the title, and he had an opportunity to unify with Klitschko, become undisputed, and he said that Wilder's manager Shelly Finkel said that Wilder was just a baby. He wasn't ready for that yet. How can you gonna say that a world champion is a baby and he's not ready for this or that yet? He's ready for whatever. He's a champion. But that's what Shelly Finkel said. You know, so I think, you know, a lot of this stuff, you know, I mean, they've been bringing Wilder along kind of slowly, and they're not making him fight, you know, in the fight to really improve his overall skill set. And, you know, I think his team has a lot to do with that, not just him, you know what I mean? I mean, even though ultimately he's the boss when it comes to, you know, what actually happens in there. I mean, he should know he needs to make, you know, the adjustments needed to become a better fighter. But like, you know, he said, I mean, he's drinking his own Kool-Aid, and he's in there talking about all I have to be is perfect for 2 seconds, and while the other guy got to be perfect for 12 rounds. I mean, that's the most revealing thing that Deontay Wilder said when it comes to his philosophy in terms of boxing. He had no respect for boxing whatsoever to say something like that you only have to be perfect for 2 rounds. I mean for 2 seconds. I mean, that's a very disrespectful thing to say about boxing. And, with a philosophy like that, it doesn't surprise me that, he ended up the way he did vis-a-vis Fury, because, that's talk about drinking the Kool-Aid. I mean, that's the ultimate. The last red squirrels. Wilder is an emotional child. He's not a man enough to bounce back like Joshua and take responsibility for what he did wrong. I'm going to have to agree with that sentiment, last red squirrels. I mean, that's what we are seeing actually happen in front of us right now. Okay, like I said, previously, he hasn't taken any responsibility for anything that happened to him in that ring since the fight a year ago, and it's been a year later, and up to now he still hasn't taken any responsibility for anything that happened to him. He's still making excuses a year later. So yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that sentiment. Last red squirrels. I mean, I think that's basically a true statement. Okay, and based on his interview that we just saw yesterday, his recent interview, I don't think he's ever going to take any responsibility. Okay, and again, unless you're willing to take responsibility for your actions and what happened, then how are you going to make adjustments? Because basically, you're going to go back there thinking that you don't have to change anything. And like I said, his fans out there, these especially these guys in the these commentators, these YouTube guys out there, Blue Blood Sports, especially him, he's out there saying, well, yes, Tyson Fury is ducking him. And I say that, the reason why Tyson Fury is ducking because he knows that Deontay Wilder just have to land that right hand and it's all over. Okay? And that's, he had that one punch chance, he has that chance. This is what Blue Blood Sports constantly saying every chance he gets. Okay, so basically he's co-signing this one punch business and thinking that Deontay Wilder could go back in there with Tyson Fury and still do the same thing and expect a different result. It doesn't work like that. Deontay Wilder need to do more than just go in there and depend on one hand. Because at the end of the day, you can't plant corn in the morning and expect to reap peas in the evening. Okay? It doesn't work like that. Okay? Okay? So to go out there and expect to do the same thing that you did in the first 2 fights, which didn't work for you, and let's keep something in mind. In the first fight, okay, as Deontay Wilder himself has said on many occasions, okay, and he has said this numerous times, that Tyson Fury was fat, out of shape, drinking, drugging, eating himself into obesity, okay, weighing like 400 pounds almost, and that Deontay Wilder, went there and saved Tyson Fury, took him up off the couch, as he says, okay? So now, this is the condition of the guy that you picked to fight. You didn't pick anybody else. That these are the kind of people that Tyson Fury, that Deontay Wilder is picking to fight. A guy like that, that's who he picked to fight, okay? A guy in the condition that he himself said Tyson Fury was in. Now, you pick this guy to fight him. The guy comes into the ring, not really in good shape, okay, mentally or physically. And you, as a world champion, active fighter, had a draw with that guy that you just described to us. Fat, out of shape, mentally not fit, sitting on the couch, weighing 400 pounds. This is the guy that you picked to fight, and you had a draw with this guy. And not only did you have a draw with this guy, a lot of people said that he won the fight. Okay? Then you go back into a second fight with the same guy, but the difference in this time was that the guy that you described from the first fight is not the same guy. He done got better, he had 2 fights in between, okay? He got himself into shape, got himself a new trainer, okay? came up with a new strategy, made adjustments, and came back and did what he did to you. So if you couldn't beat the guy from the first fight that you described, this fat guy, this out of shape guy, this drug abuser, alcohol abuser, how did you expect to beat the guy that you saw in the second fight? How? So, if I was Wilder's team, I wouldn't have took the second fight, much less talking about taking a third fight. Okay? Because after I saw what happened in the first fight, okay, I would have said to him, forget about fighting this guy again. You need to make a lot of changes in your what you're doing in there. If this guy looked like he's in shape, he went to the Kronk gym. Okay, he got himself, a new trainer, Kronk, and I think we need to make some adjustments ourselves. But no, he went back in there with Tyson Fury with the same strategy that he used in the first fight. That didn't get him anywhere. That got him a draw against a fat, out of shape slob of a guy. Okay, and he went back in there with that same strategy and expected to win with that strategy, and he lost in a devastating fashion. And now you're trying to tell me his fans and these guys out there, the Bluebird Sport, the fan and boxing, wanted to go back in there again with the same strategy in the third fight. I mean, it would be suicide. Okay, it would be utter suicide to go back in there again so soon against Tyson Fury with the same exact strategy that you had in the last two fights, expecting to land the one punch. It's crazy talk. Okay? And not only is it totally irresponsible, but this is what his fans are pushing him to do. All he has to do is just land that one punch. No, my friend. It's going to take more than one punch to beat Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury got Deontay Wilder's number. Okay? He has broken Deontay Wilder down mentally. Okay? Deontay Wilder is not ready to go back in there against Tyson Fury at this point. I don't think. Okay, unless, I'm going to put unless in there, unless he has made some changes that we haven't seen and don't know nothing about. Okay, unless he has been in the gym working and coming up with new technique, a better punch selection, adding more punches, repertoire, the uppercut, the hook, so. The jab, which is just basic boxing. If he comes up with all of these things, then I think he has a chance against Tyson Fury. But I don't see no evidence of any of that has happened. Okay, the only thing we see, we don't see no videos of him training, no videos of him doing anything. The only videos we have seen is that of him twerking. Okay, we have seen plenty of videos of that. Okay, he's out there twerking. So. I'm not optimistic that he's been making. I'm not going to say he's not doing anything. I don't know. I can only speculate. Okay, but all I'm saying is that I haven't seen any videos of of Deontay Wilder making adjustments in the gym. Working the bag, and we know Mark Breland said he doesn't even like to work the bag. So we haven't seen him, doing any training or anything like that. We haven't even heard of him doing any training. Okay, so. For him to go back in there against Tyson Fury again under these circumstances, I don't think it'd be a wise decision. Okay, unless, like I said, he has made the changes. We just have to look at this thing and see for what it is. Look at the difference between what Tyson Fury, what Deontay Wilder, how Deontay Wilder took his loss compared to how Anthony Joshua took his loss, and look at the difference in these guys. Okay, it's an amazing contrast when you think about it, man. It couldn't be more of a contrast. It's like night and day. Okay, and then we have to understand something. The Anthony Joshua loss was worse than the Tyson Fury loss. And a lot of people are going to say, well, what do you mean? Well, Anthony Joshua lost to a guy. It was a more humiliating loss than the one that Deontay Wilder got. Okay, it was a more, so for your mental, from a mental standpoint, to come back from something like what happened to Joshua is a lot worse than what happened to Deontay Wilder, because Joshua lost to a guy that's just look at the guy he lost to, Ruiz. Fat guy, out of shape. nobody expected him to lose to Ruiz. Now I'd seen Ruiz fight before, so I knew he can fight because I saw him fight. I saw him fight Parker, so I know he can box. But for the casual fan or just for the eye test, when you look at a Ruiz and you look at a Joshua, you can't really comprehend how Joshua could lose to a guy like that. Okay, he had every advantage over Ruiz that you can think of. Okay, so the fact that he lost to Ruiz, it's not the same as Deontay Wilder losing to Fury, because Fury is bigger than Wilder. Okay, he can box better than Wilder, and we all know that. Okay, so when we compare the Joshua Ruiz to Fury, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua lost in a more humiliating fashion than Deontay Wilder did. Okay, because he lost to a guy who was a lot smaller than him. He had longer reach than Ruiz. He's bigger, he's taller, he's stronger. In every category, there was no way that Ruiz should have won that fight against Anthony Joshua. But with Deontay Wilder, we can always say, well, look, man, look how big, Fury is. He's a big guy. Fury can box. He was strong in there. He's a very unorthodox fighter. He give anybody problems. So we can see reasons why Deontay Wilder could have lost to Fury as opposed to Anthony Joshua losing to Ruiz. So if anybody had any reason to fall apart after they lost, it was Anthony Joshua. Okay? Because with Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury was the bigger guy, okay? Obviously the stronger guy in there, okay? The better boxer at the end of the day. And so we could say, okay, man, he got the better of Deontay Wilder that fight. Deontay Wilder's going to come back and deal with him the next fight because, obviously he went and got training from Quank Gym and all of these things. So we got excuses, really, real excuses, not made up one, but real reasons why Tyson Fury, we can say, okay, it's not so bad that, Deontay Wilder lost to Tyson Fury. We can't say the same thing for Joshua. Okay? So, the fact that Anthony Joshua was able to come back in the fashion that he did from such a humiliating loss, okay, and then Deontay Wilder was not able to come back and, continue to make excuses up to this day, it just shows you a contrast in mental toughness and durability, from an emotional standpoint. Okay, I mean, Anthony Joshua didn't make any excuses, not even one. And when people tried to make excuses for him, he said, no, I'm not having none of that. Okay, no, I'm not having it. Okay, Ruiz was the better man that night. He won fair and square. He did what he had to do. Okay, don't make any excuses for me. I don't want to hear no excuses. Okay, and every chance he congratulated Ruiz, said you had a great fight, champ. You did what you had to do. I'm just gonna go back in the gym and do what I have to do. And that every chance he got, he gave Ruiz his props. Even when people, his friends, his team, everybody is trying to make excuses for him, trying to make it look good, he said, no, I'm not having it. Okay, I'm not having it. And look what Deontay Wilder is doing compared to what Joshua did. Every excuse in the book, wild accusations, not just against Fury, which you'd expect, but against his own team. Okay? His trainer, who he's been with him for his whole career in boxing, he's saying this guy spiked his water. The referees cheated. The gloves something was wrong with the gloves. I mean, every excuse you can think of. And so at the end of the day, it's a sharp contrast in mental toughness between Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. And when a lot of people talk about, now we see why, Deontay Wilder never wanted to fight Joshua. And a lot of people talk about Joshua ducking Deontay Wilder. You got to be kidding me. It couldn't be anything. That's the worst thing that people could actually say. We can see by how Anthony Joshua conduct himself that he's a man with his mental toughness is like iron, compared to compared to Tyson Fury. Okay, he got a will of iron compared to Deontay Wilder. I mean, at the end of the day, Anthony Joshua is it's just like night and day. Okay, there's no comparison. Okay, so I would think that if they were to get in the ring together, Joshua would smash Deontay Wilder into nothing, just like Tyson Fury did. He would smash him. Okay, because at the end of the day, boxing is mental more than it is really physical. Okay, and sometimes you go into that ring, you already lost before you even in the ring, depending on how how tough you are mentally. So that's how I see that. Okay, wow, Dave King 77. Wilder has always been trash. He was protected by WBC and his management who held that belt ransom, wanted to sell it to AJ. Wilder is a fraud, and Fury got him before AJ. When he gave interviews, it was cringeworthy watching, trying to string a coherent sentence together. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, he's not the best speaker in the world, but I'm not really concerned with how he put his sentences together. I'm just saying that the content of what he was saying, whether he can speak verbally clearly or not, is not really the issue. But what he was saying is the issue, and I would agree with you that I think he's been broken mentally by Tyson Fury. And it is cringeworthy to listen to him talk, not because of how he talks, but the things that he says. Okay, the things that he's saying. I mean, it's just. I mean, I feel sorry for the guy at the end of the day. I mean, I should have the reason to feel sorry for Deontay Wilder. He's living good. I mean, like he said himself, he's living great. Spending time with his family, and so I think at the end of the day, we have to take Wilder at his word. I mean, I think he's enjoying not, having to be in the gym, not having to train. Just chilling out with his family and enjoying the little money that he have. Okay, his investments, as he's saying, and so, at the end of the day, I think that's what Mark Breland is talking about when he says that Wilder's career is over. Wilder's finished. I don't think. I mean, based on what I'm seeing, it would be very doubtful if Wilder was to get back in that ring. And we can see from what Vasquez said in his question, is Wilder avoiding Martin? Maybe he's not ready to get back in the ring right now. Okay, maybe he's just gonna take a break. Maybe he's just gonna retire, because at the end of the day, Deontay Wilder is like 35 years old. Okay, I mean, how many years does Deontay Wilder got left in the ring? Even if he didn't lose his fight to Fury, I mean, he's 35. Okay, I mean, I hear people talking about George Foreman and all of that, but I mean, Deontay Wilder is no George Foreman. Okay, even though, the funny thing about Foreman was that Foreman was just like Deontay Wilder with making excuses when he lost to Muhammad Ali. He couldn't accept the fact that he lost to Muhammad Ali in that fight. Okay, and he speaks about that. When he talks, sometime he tells you about it. But but what happened to him was he had an epiphany. Okay, so, something happened to where he was able to get over that loss and was able to accept what happened, and then once he was able to accept it and accept what happened to him, he was able to come back, and we saw what happened when he came back. Okay, he was devastating when he came back and won the title again. So we have to see that hasn't happened to Deontay Wilder yet. He hasn't had an epiphany. He hasn't accepted his loss to this day. He hasn't accepted it. He can't accept it at this point, it looks like. And so until that happens, I don't think we're going to see Deontay Wilder, come back to the whatever Deontay Wilder was before, which, I don't think we're going to see that. Okay. I think that, I think mentally he's still struggling with that loss. And I think he's going to have to, come to some kind of, acceptance or some kind of understanding about what happened in that ring before he can actually, come back and become a better fighter, because, you're going to have to accept what happened to make, in order for you to make the adjustments needed to become a better fighter. And I don't see that process happening right now. It's been a year and he's still making excuses, still talking about he doesn't understand. I mean, how can you say you don't understand why Mark Breland would come out and say some of the things he's. What the hell are you talking about? You don't understand. After all the things that you've been saying about Mark Breland, how is it? How can you say you have this man around my family, and you know that he's jealous? You know, I think he's just. I mean, whoa, that right there was even that's the worst thing I ever heard. Yeah, he's jealous, or maybe he's jealous of my. You're talking about Mark Breland, okay? Olympic gold medalist, probably one of the most accomplished Olympic gold medalists in the history of American boxing, okay? 5-time Golden Glove champion, okay? This is who you're talking about. So what is it that Mark Breland has to be jealous of Deontay? What has Deontay Wilder done for Mark Breland to be jealous about? So, I mean, you know, so when you hear this guy talking, I mean, you got to say to yourself, what the hell is this guy talking about? Okay? I mean, you know, he's not making any sense what he's saying. Mark Breland has nothing to be jealous about when it comes to Deontay Wilder's career. Because as Mark Breland himself has said, who has Deontay Wilder actually fought besides Fury? And what happened when he fought Fury? He got knocked out. So what is it? What is? And then now that you get knocked out, you make excuses and basically become the laughing stock of boxing with all of this talk about your trainer spiking your water. So you know, and then all the other excuses on top of it. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, if Deontay Wilder came out and just said, you know what, you know, I lost the fight. You know, I'm going to get back in the gym. I'm going to work on some things. And I'm going to go out there and take care of Tyson Fury. But he didn't do none of that. Okay? I think we would have saw the trilogy by now. The trilogy would have been done and over with. But he didn't do that. You know, he make excuses. You know, he waited until after the contract expired. He came out and started talking on November 31st that he wanted a rematch. The contract expired. October 31st, so he wanted a rematch. Contract expired from what I'm hearing around between October 13th and October 15th. He came out 15 days later, basically, and said he wanted a rematch. He's been campaigning for a rematch ever since when he knows that the contract expired, like Bob Arman said. Even Shelley Finkel have basically acknowledged that the contract expired. Okay? So why would you come out now and act like you really want this fight so much when you didn't do that no time before the contract expired? You know, COVID or no COVID, you didn't come out and say anything until after the contract expired. And now you go out there talking about you want to fight. So really, he doesn't really want to fight. I don't think he actually wanted to fight. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't see, you know, the evidence. You know, we got to look at the evidence. We got to look at the facts. Okay? I don't think he actually wants to fight with Fury the third time. No matter what you hear Deontay Wilder actually saying, I don't believe that he wants that third fight with Fury. I think he's just doing that because he knows that he's not going to get the fight. Okay? He's just capping. He's just doing all of this because he knows he's not going to get that fight. Okay? And that's why he's doing it. You know, it's like when a guy, you know, when two guys come together and they're going to fight, and then, you know, your friend is holding you back and somebody's holding back the other guy, and now that you see that the fight's not going to happen, you really, let me go. I want to go. You know, sort of like, you know, when Barbershop Conversations and Kenny Porter had that little altercation, you know, it was something similar to that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, at the end of the day, man, you know, we got to see for what it is. You know, I don't think he wants to fight at all. Okay, regardless of what he's saying. I mean, his fans might want to fight. His team might want to fight because, I mean, it's about the dollar. You know, it's about money. And, you know, I'm sure Shelley Finkel, I'm sure, you know, some of these people want to fight. But I'm not sure that Deontay Wilder actually want to fight, okay? And I don't think the networks even want to fight because, I mean, you know, Deontay Wilder said the networks had came to him and said that because of what was going on with the football game that was coming on December 19th when the fight was scheduled to come on and all these different things. He said the network had came to him and said that, you know, it might not be able to make the fight because of all these different things and, you know, they wanted to postpone the fight or whatever. So I don't even think the networks really want to fight after what happened the second fight, at the end of the day, so, and again, I don't think Deontay Wilder want to fight either, regardless of what he's saying. I mean, but then again, let's take him at his word and say he does want to fight. But at the end of the day, he's going to have to make a lot of changes before anything different is going to happen in that ring for a second time. And hopefully, I'm hoping that's exactly what's going on, that he's in there making changes and we just don't know about it, okay? Maybe he's in there doing what he needs to do. Maybe he's in there training hard, working hard, and trying to change up his whole style like Anthony Joshua did. And he's gonna come out there and in his next fight we're gonna see the new and improved Deontay Wilder. I would hope that's what happens, okay? Because I would love to see Deontay Wilder, a new and improved Deontay Wilder out there fighting. I would love to see that, okay? I don't like this Deontay Wilder that I'm seeing. The excuse making Deontay Wilder. The Deontay Wilder blaming everybody else. The Deontay Wilder not taking any responsibility. I don't want to see that Deontay Wilder. I want to see the other Deontay Wilder that we haven't seen. I want to see the Deontay Wilder who take responsibility, go in and make the changes and do what he needs to do to adjust to what happened to him. That's the one I want to see. I don't want to see this Deontay Wilder. Okay, Wilder is scared of Tyson and Wilder is also scared of AJ. Hawker Mustang. I think delusional Deontay is going to fight 2 or 3 more bums and then he will call it a day. Well, we're going to see. I mean, at this point, we're not seeing anything moving forward with this, Martin fight. I mean, there's nothing going on. Charles Martin. I mean, from what we're hearing, like I said, Deontay Wilder is putting roadblocks in front of the fight, demanding more money and saying he wants more money for the fight than what they're offering him. I don't know what they're offering him, but I'm hearing that he wants more than whatever it is that they're offering him. Okay, so it looks like that fight is not is not getting made right now. So we'll see. And you did hear that Charles Martin said he was going to target the dent in Wilder's head. Oh man, these guys are Charles Martin is a funny guy. But listen. Let's look at that dent in Wilder's head that they were talking about, okay? Let's take a look at this. Look at this. You see this thing right here that JD has in his hand? It's an end swell, okay? They call it an end swell. And what it does when you get like swollen tissue in a fight, they use that to compress and to bring down the swelling. Okay, that's what that is. But look what it says about that. Look, read that. See what it says about the end swell? It says that proper use of the end swell is to apply light pressure and hold the tissue in normal position. As the cold slightly constricts the capillaries to reduce ancillary swelling. Excessive pressure or attempts to iron out a bruise will only damage tissue further and exacerbate the bruise or the contusion. So again, to use this properly, you can't use it to iron out the bruise because it will only damage the tissue further. So this is where I believe that Tyson Fury got that dent in his head, okay? It wasn't really a dent because as we saw, the swelling was in a square shape, which is, if you look at this end swell tool right here, you see it's a square shaped tool with corners, sharp corners. And we saw that little dent that was in Deontay Wilder's head. Looked like somebody used the end swell and didn't use it correctly and was applying too much pressure. Okay, so here's the end swell. Let's look at the end swell. Let's see it. Where is it? There it is. This is what it looks like. Okay, so when we look at that dent that was supposedly in Wilder's head, you can see that they was using the end swell and pressing it too hard against his flesh, against the swelling. And it caused that, basically that type of contusion. Because here again, it's saying here that proper use of the end swell is to apply light pressure and holds the tissue in normal position, has the cold slightly constricts the capillaries, and to reduce ancillary swelling, excessive pressure or attempts to iron out a bruise will only damage tissue further and exacerbate the bruise or the contusion. And I think that's exactly what happened with Deontay Wilder, hence the so-called dent in his head. Okay, so that's where that's all about. That's, and see, there it is. I think that's JD's right there applying the end swell to Deontay Wilder's face. Okay, so it looks like he didn't really do it the correct way. He applied too much pressure. Okay, if that's him, and the dent, the so-called quote unquote dent, was the result of that. Okay, there's the end swell again. Okay, I think that's JD's right there. Okay, and we all read what she's end swell, sometimes called an end swell, is a small piece of metal used by a second corner or cut man to apply pressure to an injury to reduce swelling. And there it is. So as you can see, the end swell, the shape of the dent in Wilder's head was not a round shape like an egg. It wasn't egg shape. It was square shape. Okay, sharp corner. So yeah, that's all that is. So there it is. So much for the so-called dent in Wilder's head. Okay. But at the end of the day, yeah. So you're right, Arkham Mustang. It was a dent in the soul and tissue, that because they used that end swell and they pressed it too hard. Incompetence really, and so that's what caused the so-called dent. And that's why you see all these guys like Breland'S Sports, Phantom Boxing. They took that picture of the dent in Wilder's head and talk about the dent, and they had arrows pointing to the dent. And as a matter of fact, I got the pictures here somewhere. Let me bring up. Bear with me for a minute. I'm going to bring up one of those pictures for you so you can see it. The so-called dent in Wilder's head. Give me 1 second. I'm bringing up the picture now. I'm going to show to you these so-called pictures of the dent in Wilder's head so we can get a clear picture of what, this so-called dent was supposed to be. Okay, these guys, they ran on YouTube, these Breland'S Sports, Phantom Boxing. Okay, they ran with this whole dent in Wilder's head narrative. Okay, trying to confuse people, and here it is. Okay, here's the picture right here. This is one from Breland'S Sports TV. Here it is. There's a dent. You see that? Right by the arrow with the circle. Knuckles, no padding, dent. So you see that look at the shape of the so-called dent. Okay, so you can see that that's where the swelling was when he got hit over the ear over there, and we saw how he was swollen. If you saw our pictures of it, you will see that the swelling was there, and you can see that they applied the end swell. And they put too much pressure on it, and this is what the so-called dent supposedly came from. Okay, there it is. But these guys out there talking about knuckles. Now, does that look like the shape of a knuckle? Does that dent, so-called dent, look like the shape of a knuckle? No. Does it look like the shape of an egg weight? No. As a matter of fact, let me bring up what the egg weight looks like, so we can get a better picture of how this so-called egg weight actually works and what boxers use the egg weight for. Okay, I'm going to bring that up now for you. Let me find it and I'll bring it up. Egg weight. Okay, and so we're going to debunk this whole dent in Wilder's head narrative that these guys are out there pushing. Okay, there's the egg weight, right? So as you can see, look at the shape of the egg weight. Okay, that's what it looks like. And you see that he has it, on a loop in his hand. So in order for you to use the egg weight in a glove, so you see that he would have it in his hand like that, and his fist would be closed over it. He would have to tape that up, and then that would be put in the glove. So the actual egg weight couldn't actually do any damage to him, in terms of putting any kind of dent in his head, because you just be punching with your fist, just like anything else. The egg weight would be in the palm of your hand, and that egg weight will be taped up into your hands. So it's not like you're gonna hit his bare skull with the egg weight, okay? As you can see, right there. So when we heard that guy that claimed that he was sparring with Tyson Fury, and when he picked up the glove, the egg weights fell out of the gloves. That's I don't know what this guy was talking. I mean, that guy looked kind of shaky to me at the end of the day. And I saw that guy, and I saw the interview with that guy, and he was talking about how something he said that made me really suspicious was that he said that the first day he went to spar Fury, right, he fucks Fury up. So I mean, he was very like a lot of animosity in what he said when he said that I fucked him up, Yeah. So why would you go there to fuck up Fury if you just go there to spar? Where's all the animosity coming from? Okay. So I mean, you just go there to spar a guy. You want to go there and spar, and you want to keep your job sparring because you're putting food on your table. So you go all the way to England to spar with this guy, and you go there to fuck him up. Yeah. And then the way he said it, I fucked him up. So I just didn't understand where the animosity was coming from. And right away, when he said that, I said to myself, there's something funny about this guy. And then he goes on to talk about how he found, the gloves, and, he found egg weights in the gloves. So we see, there's the egg weights right there. This is what egg weights look like. Okay. So, what do you say? How does that put a dent in your head? That's what I want to know. Okay. How does that egg weight do this? Okay, how did it put that dent in your head? Now, we can see that this right here could do what we just saw. It can do that. And we see, again, that JD's, I think that's JD's, I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that, but he's applying that end swell to the skull right there, okay? Right around where the dent is, supposedly is. So, I mean, what more do we need to see? Okay, there it is in black and white. Okay, literally, black and white. So, this whole, so-called dent in the head scenario that these guys have been pushing, this narrative, you can see that that's all it was, just a damn narrative. It's just more bullshit. Okay, nothing to it at all. It's all a scam. And they've been pushing this narrative, okay, and it's a shame, okay, at the end of the day, that they're pushing these kind of narratives. But that's what they do for these guys are like pushing narratives for for super chat money and like buttons and like buttons. I call them like button junkies. Hit the like button. Wipe your feet before you come in. This guy's hilarious, man. So anyway, yeah, so that's that basically debunked that whole dent in the head nonsense that these guys are talking. And so if that's nonsense, then this whole glove thing is just nonsense. And we know that the Mark Breland spike in the water is nonsense. Okay. So, at the end of the day, when you break down all these excuses, they're all nonsense. Okay? It's all nonsense. There's nothing to none of this. There's no proof. So my thing is that, if there's so much proof of all of this nefarious activity that these guys are talking about, okay? If there's so much proof, these guys have so much proof, why aren't they in court? Why isn't Deontay Wilder taking Tyson Fury to court if they have so much proof? I mean, we know that they went to mediation and now they're supposedly in arbitration, but I think that's all over with because we never hear nothing about it. And I don't even know if they actually went to arbitration because Sheldon Franklin said that he was thinking about going to arbitration. Whether they actually went to arbitration, we don't know, but we know that the mediation is over with and that, nothing came of it really. There was no third fight because of the mediation, okay? And, arbitration, to go to arbitration, you need to hire lawyers and all of that. So, I mean, who's going to pay for these lawyers? So, I don't think anything actually came, but we'll see it, we'll hear about it, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't be holding my breath on no third fight at this point in time. I think the fight with Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury is going to go forward. I think that the networks want that fight. Everybody involved in boxing want that fight because it's a big money fight for everybody involved, okay? And that's the fight they want. And then this whole, Glovegate conspiracy is just made it, the Deontay Wilder fight, look even worse. Nobody really wants to be getting involved in all of that, it's making Deontay Wilder look, shaky, like a laughing stock. Look like it doesn't really, it's not adding nothing to Deontay Wilder. Okay, it's making him look bad, and these fans don't seem to understand that. They are they're pushing these narratives constantly, and all they're doing is making Deontay Wilder look bad. Okay, and then he's buying into all of these conspiracies, and so it's making it even worse. When he didn't say nothing for 10 months, at least people could say, well, yeah, these fans out there pushing these narratives, but Deontay Wilder's not saying anything. Okay, he's not co-signing any of these things, and then the man comes out and co-signs all of these conspiracy theories and made things even worse for himself. So, I just don't understand, what Deontay Wilder is really doing out there. Okay. Let's see, jumping host. If he was getting hit with a solid object for 7 rounds in his face, would be smashed to bits. Exactly. That would be the case, you know what I mean? Yeah, they should be pressing charges if they had all the proof. Exactly right, but we don't see any charges coming forward. Okay. One of them Ldbc boys told me that Tyson Fury is more dirty than Louis Resto. Yeah, well, whatever. I mean, I don't think there's that. I don't think there are many angels in boxing. Okay, and now I in the fight I saw Tyson Fury doing a lot of little tactics out there. Okay. Like, pushing, Deontay Wilder's head down, okay, hitting behind the back of the head, okay, I see some of that. But all boxers, a lot of boxers do that. That's an Ali strategy. He used to put his body over his opponent and weigh him down to make them tired, okay. So, I mean, that's nothing new, and at the end of the day, the motto or the code in boxing is protect yourself at all times, okay. So if you're in there and you let this guy put himself all over you and hit you in the back of the head, then you have to check yourself. I mean, the referee can only see so much and only catch so much at the end of the day. But you're in there and you know what's going on. You gotta protect yourself at all times, okay? And so if a guy is doing some nonsense and they like hitting you in the back of the head, or he's putting his weight on you to drag you down and weigh you down and make you tired, then you gotta counteract that. Okay. So it is what it is. But again, we saw that again, this whole Glovegate thing was in the this whole floppy glove business was in the first fight, not the second fight. Okay, we all know. And so I don't even know what relevance it actually has to anything that happened in the second fight. Okay. So again, I don't see any benefit that Deontay Wilder is getting from all these accusations. Okay, I don't see how it benefits him in any way, shape, or form, except maybe make himself feel better that that he lost. So it is what it is. But in terms of Louis Resto or whatever he did, Tyson Fury is not Louis Resto. Like I said, there's no proof. Deontay Wilder's come forward with no proof whatsoever that Deontay Wilder has no proof, hasn't come up with any proof, hasn't shown any evidence of any cheating. Okay, none of the so-called evidence that we have seen so far is really evidence. It's just narratives. Okay, and all of it has been debunked. Okay, even though I even saw where they had some people, some guy with a camera going around, you know, saying that pushing the glove, his hand down into the middle of the glove and trying to punch with that, and had boxers actually demonstrate that. And all of the boxers said, no, this is impossible. You can't even get an leverage punching like that. And you probably break your hand if you even tried something like that in a fight. Okay, so all this thing about, you know, putting your hand down in the glove that we heard this guy Drew Titan, you know, said was going on, you know, is you know, it was all nonsense. It's all been debunked. Okay, and so at the end of the day, you know, all these excuses that Deontay Wilder has been making, none of it has been able to, you know, he has had no proof for any of it, zero proof to be exact. You know, hasn't went to court with none of it, and at the end of the day, it's just excuses. Okay, and until I can see proof, if I see some proof, then yeah, we can say yeah, okay, Tyson Fury cheated, but we haven't seen any proof whatsoever. Okay, and like Mark Breland says, you know, he doesn't believe that Deontay Wilder could ever beat Tyson Fury because he knows Deontay Wilder. He trains Deontay Wilder. Okay, so when a guy like that speak, you have to take what he's saying seriously. He's been training Deontay Wilder ever since Deontay Wilder was a professional fighter. Okay, Mark Breland. So people can say what they want to. Okay, you know, at the end of the day, I'm going to listen to the professionals. I'm going to listen to what Mark Breland had to say, and everything that he said makes a lot of sense to me because at the end of the day, you know, I kind of feel the same way even before I heard what he was saying. Okay, I never thought that Deontay Wilder actually fought anybody except for Ortiz and Fury. Okay, and I said that in my videos before Mark Breland actually spoke. If you go back and look at any of my videos about Deontay Wilder, you'll see I've said those same exact things. Okay, that he's not really fighting anybody, he hasn't really fought anybody, he's been cherry picking his whole career. Okay, and you know, basically Mark Breland just came out and confirmed that. Okay, I mean, it is what it is. Okay, he's confirming that. Okay, so you know, all this talk about hand being in the wrist part of the glove, and you know, this whole glove gate conspiracy is just a wash. Okay, I don't see nothing to it. I haven't seen any proof of it. You know, definitely haven't seen any proof of Mark Breland spike in the water. And we all know that after the fight, these guys get drug tested. Okay, so if the water was spiked, where was the trace drugs in the test that they took after the fight? Why did none of that show up? Okay, so whether it was Mark Breland that so-called spiked the water, or anybody else spiked the water, there's no proof of that because there was no, you know, they took the drug test, nobody had anything in their system, so they didn't find anything unless it's some kind of secret thing that doesn't show up in tests, you know, whatever that could be. So this whole, you know, spike in the water thing, you know, as Mark Breland said, it's just crazy talk. And it was crazy talk in the beginning before Breland said anything about it, and it's crazy talk now after Breland spoke on it. It's just crazy talk. Okay, but yet still, Deontay Wilder is still out there saying that he believed that this man spiked his water, and that he's wondering why Mark Breland is coming out and saying what he's saying. I mean, to me, it's an amazing turn of events. You know, it's an amazing turn of events. I mean, you know, again, I just believe that at the end of the day, Deontay Wilder, you know, just as Mark Breland has said, and you know, Deontay Wilder, I mean, you know, some people just can't take a loss, and we are seeing that play out now in front of our eyes as we speak. Okay, the man just can't take the loss. It's his first loss, and he just can't accept it, can't, you know, understand it, don't want to take any responsibility, and you know, all of these excuses is the result of it. Because I mean, Deontay Wilder, you know, to be, you know, we got to be, you know, keep it 100. Deontay Wilder didn't come up with these excuses. His fans came up with the excuses first, because he hadn't said anything. I mean, unless he was telling these guys that in the background and having them come out, which I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, because as we know, you know, these guys will say anything or do anything for Deontay Wilder, as we have seen demonstrated already, like people like Blood Sports and, you know, all these guys out there, Phantom Boxing. So at the end of the day, for a little bit of super chat money and a little dollars on the side, these guys will say and do anything. You know what I mean? Basically, and they have been doing that. We have seen it. So, maybe he was telling them all this stuff on the, and they was coming out and just saying these things, okay? But to me, it looked like they just came up with all these excuses themselves, and then Deontay Wilder came out and co-signed it, okay? So we don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg, but the result is still the same, okay? There's no proof of any of it. We don't see any court cases, and if you had all this overwhelming proof, as you say, then why aren't you in court? I don't get it. Well, you should be in court pressing your case with your lawyer, because it's a no-brainer, right? It's a guaranteed conviction, okay? There's no way you're gonna lose. I'll be in court, but like I said, I believe that Mark Breland has a real case against Deontay Wilder for defamation of character, for injuring his character, for injuring his ability to make money as a trainer, for destroying his career as a trainer because of what Deontay Wilder has been saying about him, and without any proof whatsoever. And Deontay Wilder himself actually said there is no proof, because he said it in that interview that even though there's no proof, but we all know something you just know. What the hell are you talking about, son? You can't destroy a man's career and guess, making these type of accusations without any proof. Okay, I mean, and then you're gonna act like that the man that you tried to destroy his career, you're gonna act like he did something to you. Oh, I don't understand why you didn't say the thing what he's saying. I just understand, I fed this man, okay? I fed this man. I had this man around my kids, And then after that, he said, oh, I don't really talk to him outside of boxing. So what are you talking about? All you doing is contradicting yourself, okay? Everything you say is like a contradiction. You say one thing and then say another thing, the total opposite next minute. So it is what it is, people, okay? Again, I think that Wilder basically has been dismantled by Tyson Fury. We are seeing it play out in front of our face. This is the result of what happened. Tyson Fury, I think, broke Deontay Wilder. Whether or not he could ever recover, I don't know. I'm not gonna count him out, but I mean, I've seen people come back from worse, but it's hard to say if Deontay Wilder has the character to come back from this, okay? Because up until this point, he hasn't really displayed that type of character so far. So, it's doubtful at this point whether or not he could actually come back from any of this stuff that we are seeing. Well, Arca Mustang, you say, I really hope to get to see Deontay Wilder get knocked clean. I wouldn't want to. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about that. Why would you want to see him get knocked out? I mean, I can understand how you feel, because at the end of the day, making these kind of accusations against our people, and talking about you want to go out on your shield and all this stuff when Mark Breland probably saved your life, I can understand some people, upset and angry and would like to see him get knocked out, but I don't like to see anybody get knocked out necessarily. I mean, knockouts happen. Yeah, well, he did say he wanted to catch it. He was going to catch a body, and as a matter of fact, I'm hearing, and I heard it again yesterday too. From some people that was, and I was in a YouTube channel with Punch Drunk Boxing. Shout out to Punch Drunk Boxing, and one of these guys was out there talking about, which is the same narrative I heard from I think it was Blue Blood Sports, that they're gonna feel sorry for the next guy that Deontay Wilder fights, because he's gonna take out all of these things on that guy, and he's gonna lay this, whoever it is out. He's gonna take out all his frustrations in the next guy. Okay, that's what they were saying. So this is what we're hearing from Deontay Wilder fanboys out there. Claiming that Deontay Wilder is whoever the next guy he fights is gonna be in a hell of a lot of trouble, because he's gonna take out all his frustration on this next person, and he probably end up, bodying that person or something like that. So, I don't know. I mean, these guys, when you hear these guys talk, again, a lot of these guys out there, talking, and sometimes I wonder if they actually even believe in that stuff that they're saying. I think a lot of these guys are a lot smarter than that. I think at the end of the day, they're doing it for super chat money, like button junkies. They want to, raise their super chat, and they're just up there stirring up trouble, trying to raise money and they're raising money. Okay, they're making the money because you got these people out there sending these guys. I mean, I'm not knocking the hustle, but at the end of the day, you got people out there who are sending these guys money as if they were some kind of church. Those churches where they come on. These churches come online and they send me some money now, because if you don't send it, God is going to strike me down, and you must send in the money right now. And the people out there sending these churches money left and right. It's the same situation with some of these channels. They have these guys, some of these fans are dumb as rocks. I mean, they got these people out there sending them money, in super chat. I mean, it's like a religion with some of these people. I mean, it's like they don't really know anything about boxing, okay? They just listen to what these guys are saying. Like, these guys are the preacher, okay? It's like they don't read the Bible, but they listen to the preacher talk about what he's interpreting from the Bible, and they just nod in the head and say, yes, 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 preacher, yes. And it's the same way with these super chat. I mean, it's an amazing thing to watch, really. It's an amazing thing to watch. I mean, it's amazing from a sociological perspective, really, when you see some of these things. I mean, it just goes to show you that, there's a sucker born every day, So that's saying there's no truer saying than that, because a lot of these guys are playing, these fans for suckers, okay? But, like I said, I'm not going to knock the hustle, it is what it is. And, if these people are willing to part with their money like that, then, more power to them. Let them go ahead and give up the money. I'm not going to stop these guys, and I can't even if I wanted to stop these guys from taking the money from these people, because if the people want to give it up to them, that's their business, okay? And so it is what it is, just that simple. But, yeah, so... But, a lot of these guys are just running a narrative. They don't really believe some of the stuff they're saying, and they're just doing it for the money. And but at the end of the day, they destroy a lot of people's careers, or mess up a lot of people's careers by running these narratives. Okay, I mean, some of these guys even try to. I mean, they try to stop fights from happening. You don't want this guy to fight that guy. I mean, what kind of fan is that doesn't want is the fighters to fight? Okay, they don't want Spence to fight Crawford. Okay. They want, every time, they say, oh, Crawford got to fight this guy. He got to fight that guy. He got to fight. I mean, why does he have to fight Tom, Dick, and Harry, okay, to get to Spence? I mean, they're both champions, okay? Crawford wants to unify the division, okay? He wants the champions in the division. So that's who you want to fight. I mean, and then all these double standards, I mean, when Canelo does the same thing that Spence is doing, Canelo is ducking, okay? But Spence is not ducking. I mean, there's just so much nonsense going on in boxing, man. At the end of the day, right now, I understand why people are looking to see like YouTubers fight, and they want to see all, because they're not getting the fights that they want in boxing today. You know what I mean? They're not getting it. We're getting fights that we don't want. The fights that we want to see is not happening. But at the end of the day, I hope we get this Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury fight, okay? After all this whole, Deontay Wilder debacle and, fiasco that has happened so far. Hopefully we can get the Tyson Fury Anthony Joshua fight. I want to see that fight, okay? As far as Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, if they're gonna fight again, I can wait to see that fight. I already saw 2 fights with these guys. Okay, and I don't really think there's gonna be any different in the 3rd fight, unless there's some changes by Deontay Wilder, and we haven't seen any changes yet. Now, just because we haven't seen any changes, that doesn't mean there isn't any changes. Okay, I'll be willing to say that. Okay, just because we haven't seen it doesn't mean he hasn't made any changes. But based on what he's saying and how he's talking, I don't think he made any changes. I think he's just still, on that, one trick pony, making excuses. And, if he's going to continue to make excuses, then more than likely he hasn't made any adjustments, because in order to make changes, you need to make adjustments, so it is what it is. So the interview, again, that interview that he did with 78 Sports was a pretty interesting interview. A lot of things revealed itself in that interview. His total lack of awareness, about what he's actually doing out there. Okay, by the fact that he would be surprised that after accusing a man of trying to poison him, you're gonna be surprised that the man comes out and defend himself against that. Okay, and you're gonna be surprised that the man is saying some things about you that you would consider negative. Why would you be surprised about that? Okay, I mean, it just making sense. It's like you the one that came out and threw the man under the bus. Okay, and then the funny thing about all this stuff, is that excuse me, these guys are supposed to be, these Ldbc guys, these YouTube guys, these Phantom Boxing, these guys are supposed to be pro-black. That's what they are out there shouting to the world. We're pro-black. We're pro-black. Okay, but at the end of the day, they're throwing a black man, Mark Breland, under the bus. They're trying to, attack Sugar Hill, another black man. Okay, claiming that he's a coon because he helped Tyson Fury. Not giving the man any credit for the strategy that he implemented against Deontay Wilder to win the fight for Tyson Fury. They didn't give the man no credit. And instead, he's a coon. And, you have people out there threatening his life, hoping that he blows up in his car. I mean, all this nonsense, man. And these are black men that they're talking about, okay? And at the same time, okay, JD's, okay, the white guy, okay? And I'm not trying to run no racial narrative, but I'm just pointing out the obvious, okay? These guys claim that they're pro-black, okay? Deontay Wilder and all his fanboys and all these Ldbc guys claim that they're pro-black. But the only people that they have thrown on the bus so far is two black guys. Mark Breland and Sugar Hill. Okay? These are the guys that thrown on the bus. But they're pro-black. Okay? And in the meantime, JD's, the white guy, who was in the room where the glove was and didn't inspect the gloves, okay, who we saw in this picture, okay, we saw him in the picture right here. I think this is him, okay, applying the end swell to Deontay Wilder's face, okay. There it is. He's applying his end swell and put the dent in Deontay, the quote-unquote dent, in Deontay Wilder's head with the end swell. Okay, there it is. Okay, there's the end swell. There he's using the end swell. That see, look at the shape of it, the square shape of it. Okay, there it is again, the square shape of the end swell. Okay, there's the egg weights. There's the dent in Deontay Wilder's head, the square shape of it. There it is. Okay. Here's the egg weights. Look at the egg weights. The egg weight is oval, shaped like an egg. Okay, it's in the palm of a person's hand. There's no way you can dent anybody's skull in that position with your hands fist closed over that egg weight and your hands wrapped. If that's the case, if he actually had egg weights, but again, there's a dent, square shaped. There's the end swell, square shaped. There's Wilder's team applying the end swell to his face. Okay. Now, and again, we saw, according to the end swell, it says here about the end swell that proper use of the end swell is to apply light pressure and hold the tissue in normal position as the cold slightly constricts the capillaries to reduce ancillary swelling. Excessive pressure or attempts to iron out a bruise will only damage the tissue further and exacerbate the bruise or the contusion. There it is. Okay? There it is, people. There it is. There it is. So obviously, they was applying too much pressure with the end swell right there on his side of his head where the swelling was. And the result of it was what we saw this so-called dent. But we don't even really hear Deontay Wilder talking about the dent anymore, okay? Because we all know what is, that it's pretty well been debunked that this is just, this is what caused it. So there it is. So, but look at this picture, okay? Knuckle, no padding, dent. Does this look like a knuckle shape to you? Where does this look like a knuckle or knuckles? Where? Doesn't that look to you more like this? Doesn't it look more like this? Like the square shape? Isn't that what it looks more like? Like they're applying too much pressure? So, we got to stop this nonsense. Okay? We have to stop the nonsense, man. It is what it is. I mean, people need to stop it. Okay? Running these narratives, is a joke. And he's making Deontay Wilder into the laughing stock of boxing. Okay? With all these crazy conspiracy theories and, making Deontay Wilder look bad. He's not helping Deontay Wilder in no way, shape, or form. Okay? So, the people just need to stop these conspiracy theories. They need to cut it out. Stop acting like kids, like children. Okay? Deontay Wilder needs to stop, rolling with all these excuses, get back into the gym and do what he needs to do to come back and win his title back. Okay? But I don't know if that's gonna ever happen, based on what we're seeing from Deontay Wilder right now. And again, after that interview he just did recently, if I was his team, he would never do another interview again. Okay, I would tell him, forget it. Don't even go out there and say nothing else, because every time you open your mouth, you make yourself look even sillier. Okay, and this is basically what's going on. Every time he opens his mouth, he convicts himself. With some other nonsense. So, all this stuff needs to stop. Deontay Wilder needs to get back in the gym, forget about making excuses. Okay. And I mean, he needs to really apologize to Mark Breland, okay? And then at the end of the day, the man actually said that at least he's not gonna die broke. I just to say that Mark Breland is gonna die broke because he fired him. Why would Mark Breland die broke when you suppose he's been with you from the very beginning of your career and you making this money? Mark Breland should be taken care of. So the fact that you say something like that, is more a reflection on you than it is on Mark Breland. Because if Mark Breland's gonna die broke, that means you weren't really paying the man. Okay, you wasn't really paying him anything. You know what I mean? So if he's gonna be broke, it's because you wasn't really paying him at all. Okay, so and then you're gonna say Mark Breland is jealous of you. Jealous of what? Mark Breland is one of the top gold medal winner in Olympic gold medal winner in American history, if not the top. Okay, if not the number one guy out there in terms of winning a gold medal. The accomplishment that team did in the Olympics, 5-time Golden Glove champion, 2-time world champion. I mean, and we have to understand something. In those days when Mark Breland was fighting, I remember those days. They had like a lot of good guys. McCrory, they had Magic Man, Marlon Starling. A lot of top guys, okay, at welterweight in those days, real champions, okay, guys that, nobody, McKellen, okay. I mean, back in those days, people didn't get to pick their fights, okay. There was no picking your fight. So you had to actually fight real champions and fight real people back in the days that Mark Breland was fighting. There was no cherry picking like you see going on now. None of that shit was happening back then. Okay, these guys actually fought people that was real competition. You couldn't get to pick who you want for your whole career. You couldn't cherry pick your whole. You couldn't cherry pick 40 fights like you see people doing now, just picking whoever they want to pick and not fighting whoever they want to fight. There was never been this kind of ducking going on back then that you see going on now. You know what I'm saying? Nobody did this kind of ducking. I mean, there was none of that going on back then. Okay? So, when we talk about, fighters back in the days and we compare the fighters not, right now, it's really no comparison. Okay? you know, these guys nowadays, guys can go their whole career without fighting any real competition. Just picking fighters and fighting whoever they want to fight. They got social media, they got the fans, you know, they got who support them, and you know, they can just go on and pick whoever they want to pick and fight whoever they want to fight, okay, and that's it. You know, fight once a year, once every 2 years, whenever they want to fight. Back in the day, there was none of that. Okay, guys actually had to fight in those days. Okay, and so, you know, to say that Mark Breland is jealous of you, I mean, Mark Breland has come. I would go so far to say in 1 or 2 fights, Mark Breland, you know, professionally, has, you know, accomplished more than Deontay Wilder in his 40 fights, because Deontay Wilder didn't really fight anybody. Okay, Mark Breland had to fight real competition. Okay, and you know, to talk about, oh, his career was short, this, that, and the other, as Deontay Wilder was saying. I mean, if Deontay Wilder had to fight real competition, his career would have been short as well. Okay, he wouldn't have went 10 defenses and, you know, having all these knockouts if he had to fight real competition. Because as we saw in Deontay Wilder's first fight against an elite opponent, he lost. The proof is in the pudding, you know, as Mark Breland said, the proof is in the fighting. Okay, his first real competition against an elite fighter, he lost that fight, and we saw that. Okay, and don't forget, again, you know, we have to keep this thing 100. When he fought Fury the first time, Fury was in no shape to fight. Even Fury's father was saying that Fury was not in any shape to fight Deontay Wilder. He wasn't ready yet. He hadn't got back. He was still, he had just been drinking, smoking, you know, abusing alcohol, abusing drugs, fat, out of shape, and yet still he was able to get a draw with the Deontay Wilder, the bronze bomber, the so-called baddest man in the land. And so that tells the whole story right there. Okay, and as we saw, you know, that was another cherry pick by Deontay Wilder, because Deontay Wilder said himself, "You was fat, Fury. You was on the couch. I came and I raised you up. I picked you up off the couch, and I gave you a chance. Nobody wanted to give you a chance, but I gave you a." What are you talking about? You cherry picked the guy because you thought it was an easy picking. You thought because he was fat, he was on the couch, he was abusing drugs, he was out of shape, that you'd be able to beat him, and it turned out you couldn't beat him. Okay, even when you cherry picked the guy, you couldn't beat the guy you cherry picked. Okay, it was a case of cherry picking gone wrong, and we all saw that. Yes, Adrian Mark Breland was in the '84 USA Olympic team. Exactly, best group of U.S. Olympic boxers ever. Won most of the golds. Exactly. So, you know, to say that Mark Breland is jealous of Deontay Wilder, I mean, it's a joke. I mean, why I would even make that even come out my mouth? I would be embarrassed to say something like that. If I knew anything about boxing, okay, I would be embarrassed. I would feel like a fool saying something like that. I mean, it's, but yet still, you know, this guy's out there doing this interview with him, and he's not even asking Deontay Wilder any question. All he's doing is saying, "Yes, champ, yes, champ." I mean, that's why I say in my title, you know, friend / Ldbc yes man, because that's all it was, a yes man interview. Yes, champ, yes, champ, yes, champ, you're right, champ, yes, champ, yes, 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 champ, yeah, champ, yes, 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 you're right, champ, yes, yes, yes. It was a joke. I mean, yo, so we could see that all Deontay Wilder really wants around him is yes men. Okay, that's all he wants. Yes men around him. I mean, Mark Breland actually went in a real interview, and people asked him real questions. Okay, Deontay Wilder hasn't done a real interview. Well, he did do one with what's his name? I forgot the guy's name. He did an interview with that guy, but you know, and that interview, the guy asked him some questions, but again, he just made more excuses. But I would have asked him even tougher questions than that. I would have told him, "Show me the proof. Show me, you know, where's the beef? Okay, show me the proof that you got that this guy cheated. You don't have to show me some proof, or you know, come up with some proof. Okay, you know." So I would have asked him some good questions, you know. But we don't expect that from LDBC fan base. They're not going to ask him any questions. They're just going to co-sign whatever he says and ride with that. And this is what's been going on, and that's what's wrong with this whole Deontay Wilder situation. Too many yes men, from inside his team, yes men inside his team. I mean, they even asked, they asked Mark Breland, like, hey, why did you just continue to stay in there? I mean, even though, because Mark Breland said that Deontay Wilder wasn't listening to him. He did, and then when they said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, look." He said, "Look at the way I fight. Okay, you see my film, the way I fight. Do you see Deontay Wilder fighting like that?" He said, he said he tried to teach Deontay Wilder all these different things, but Deontay Wilder didn't want to listen to him. Didn't want to listen to him at all. But at the end of the day, that's on Deontay Wilder. If I'm in there getting paid, I mean, I got family support. I'm getting paid. I'm telling you what you need to do, and you choosing not to do it, then that's your choice. You're a grown man. You can choose to do whatever you want, okay? I can't force you to do it, okay? I can only give you the skills that you need and tell you what you need to do, and if you don't want to do it, that's on you. So I'm not going to not get paid because you don't want to do what you need to do. You don't want to, you don't want to hit the bag. You don't want to jump rope. You don't want to hit the speed bag. That's your business if you don't want to do it. I'm telling you to do it. I'm saying do it. This is what you need to do. But you don't want to do that. Well, hey, I mean, I'm gonna get paid regardless, and then you can do whatever you want to do if that's the case. Yeah, I'm hoping that. Yeah, you're right, Adrian. I'm hoping to see that whole undisputed thing. I really want to see that fight between Joshua and Fury. That should be an interesting fight. As a matter of fact, since you brought that up, who do you guys think is going to win between Joshua and Fury? What do you guys? I want to hear. What do you guys think? Who you think is going to win? Who you guys are picking for that fight? Fury or Joshua? Nobody saying anything? Nobody got a pick? Somebody give me a pick for the Anthony Joshua Fury fight. Okay, you got Fury. Adrian got Fury 60-40. Okay. Hawker Mustang. I lean toward Fury. Okay, that's two Furies so far. We got 8 people in the room. Who else? Okay, but you edge Fury. Okay. Anybody else? Nobody else want to say anything? Okay, so it looks like the rest of these guys that's in the room must be Deontay Wilder fans. They're not saying anything. Deontay Wilder, his team is in the background listening. Oh my God! So nobody, who you guys think is gonna win the fight? Fury or Joshua? I want to hear. I see 3 people. 2 people picking Fury so far, are leaning towards Fury. Yes, salute Banqui. I'll just fight it off. Okay, Banqui, the homie Fury. Okay, you got Fury. So it look like it's a clean sweep for Fury. Everybody's picking Fury to win against Joshua. Hey, I wonder if Deontay is in this room right now listening. Hey, Deontay, are you in there? Who do you got against who do you have in the Fury Joshua fight, Deontay? If you're in the room, who do you have? Fury or Joshua? Oh Oh man, that's some funny shit. Okay. Yeah, I got some lurkers in here for sure. Definitely lurking. Probably the LDBC fanboys in here. You know, they always watch my post. You know, I remember, what's his name? Phantom Boxing. He filed a copyright strike against one of my videos. Okay, I didn't even know this guy was watching my videos, but he filed a copyright strike against me. Okay, I had one of my videos pulled down because I said something about Deontay Wilder. So I wouldn't be surprised if these guys are in here lurking around. Okay, Adrian Wilder fighting Severn 3. Severn 3. Yeah, oh man, that's some funny shit. I don't know. I'm building my son's desk. My hands are tied. You know me. Okay. Ldbc is always following me. Okay, I got you, Arca Mustang. Okay. Yeah, man. Yeah, there's a few lurkers in here, right? But that's okay. Listen and learn, lurkers. Okay, we're gonna keep it 100 in here all the time. Okay, we're not taking no prisoners. Well, I mean, I don't know. His next fight is supposed to be Charles Martin, and from what I'm hearing, Charles Martin is going to target the dent. He's going after the dent in Wilder's head, so it sounds serious to me. You know, sounds like a serious guy. He's going after the dent in Wilder's head, so Wilder better watch out. He better cover up the dent. Oh, Wilder versus Effie. That would be an interesting fight. But hey, listen, what's going on, man, is that, I mean, I don't know. Wilder is in a difficult position right now because, Fury basically published the blueprint on how to beat Wilder. Okay, it's published. Okay, worldwide. You know what I mean? So everybody have the blueprint now, and they can read it and see that how to beat Wilder. So Wilder might have he might have some tough fights, going forward because a lot of guys are not gonna, once they see the blueprint and how to beat him, a lot of these guys are gonna want to use that blueprint. You know what I mean? You just gotta go forward on him. Don't give him a chance to fire back. Just go all out, go after him. You know what I mean? And that's basically what Fury did because, I mean, that was a brilliant strategy by Sugar Hill. That Kronk strategy. I think that was a great strategy, really, because I mean, that guy should get a lot of credit for implementing that strategy against Wilder, because at the end of the day, a guy like Fury coming forward is like a freight train. Look at this big, long, lean, 270-pound guy coming forward at you, throwing punches. Can't be something easy to go up against. I mean, it's a serious thing because, I saw, if you guys remember, I don't know if you guys saw the fight with Otto Wallen. If you saw that fight, you remember in the first half of the fight, Fury was fighting on the back foot. And then after he got cut, he started going on he started fighting, moving forward and taking the fight to Otto Wallen. And we all saw what happened. He beat Otto Wallen down when he started going forward because a guy like Fury coming forward, a big 6'9", 270-pound guy like that coming forward that you throwing punches, it's not easy to take. I mean, it take a special kind of fighter to really defend against something like that. I mean, it's like a freight train, So yeah, that was a great strategy. Pushing Wilder back and taking the fight to him. That was a great strategy by Sugar Hill. But I think these LDBC guys got Sugar Hill on the hit list right now. He better watch himself because these guys, I saw this one guy in a barbershop conversation talking about, yeah, man, when you see me next time, man, yeah, man, what's his name? Guy's name was Jay something or the other. something, whatever his name was, but he was out there basically threatening Sugar Hill, and we know guys out there calling Sugar Hill calling Sugar Hill a coon, and you got what's his name, Drew Titan, one of the Fannin drama queen fanboys, Drew Titan, who sometimes subs for Fannin. He's out there talking about he wants Sugar Hill to die in a car accident or something similar to that. I'm paraphrasing. I'm not quoting him exactly, but he's talking about he wishing that I think that's what he said, that Sugar Hill should car accident crash, or he should die in a car accident or whatever, something like that, something similar to that. These guys are, how can you take boxing that seriously? And at the end of that, I even saw this guy Drew Titan, out there talking about, do you know that we almost didn't get Wilder? We almost didn't have Wilder. This guy is talking like Wilder is the second coming of Christ or something. It's crazy. These guys out of their mind. These fanboys, man, they really got it bad. They're king, Wilder's their king, and then Wilder's up there talking about this king shit. Well, you're king. In an interview, you're talking about, well, your king is, the king is around good people, and, I'm your king, and, this guy, so you can see that this guy is lapping up the Kool-Aid, he's guzzling the Kool-Aid. He's not just drinking it, he's guzzling it. You know what I'm saying? It's a joke. The king, your king, so, drinking all this Kool-Aid, what got him to the point where he's right now, believing in all this one-punch knockout, the right hand of God, all this talk about his right hand being divine, and, nobody can stand to the right hand. He drank all that Kool-Aid and got him nowhere. And this is the way it got him, knocked out and without a title. And now he's back, down at the back of the line trying to, get a jump, trying to work his way back up, if he's actually going to work his way back up, because I don't know. I'm going to have to see to believe it. At the end of the day, I'm more inclined to believe what Mark Breland said, that his career is more than likely probably over. Because, I don't see you making any changes or any adjustments. Again, I'm going to qualify that he could be making changes and adjustments that we don't know about. It's possible. But hey, like I said, I'll believe it when I see it. Oh, Bon Kui, them Tyson brothers run the heavyweight division, Fury Tyson and Mike Tyson. Well, I don't know if you guys know, but that, Tyson Fury's father named his son after Mike Tyson. That was directly related. He actually named him after Mike Tyson. That he had so much respect for Mike Tyson as a fighter, so he named his son He named his son Tyson after Mike. I don't know if you guys know that, but you probably already did. Yeah, that was the case. All right, so anybody? I think we talk a lot about Deontay Wilder. Okay, if you guys, if you want to talk about somebody else, let me know. Anybody else you want to talk about? I think we said enough about Wilder for right now. We're gonna see where Wilder's gonna end up. We're gonna see how it plays out. If he's gonna come back, if he's not gonna come back, if he's gonna retire. We'll see what happens. But like I said, I think that Mark Breland got a good case against Wilder for defamation of character, and he actually have proof of Wilder defaming his character on many occasions. Okay, so he could actually sue Wilder and probably get money from Wilder. So I think Wilder should be aware of that. But yeah, but anything else you guys want to talk about, let me know. You can talk about a different topic if you want. But where's Oh yeah, I heard that Povetkin's in the hospital. You guys heard about that? That he's been hospitalized by COVID. And anybody hear that? Is there any truth to that? Because if that's the case, if Povetkin is hospitalized, who's Dylan White gonna fight next? Who's gonna take his place in the fight against Dylan White? Oh, okay. So the fight is back on. Okay. Yeah. Well, ZD no ZD now. I don't know. I heard maybe I saw old news. I don't know, but I heard that he was in the hospital or something. I think the gist of the conversation was that he had gotten worse or something, and he ended up in the hospital. But maybe that was an earlier. I saw something from an earlier time. I don't know. Maybe I was just looking at the wrong thing. But yeah, no ZD now. Breland had a solid straight right. Can't believe Wilder didn't pick up any straight right set up from Breland. Well, he does have a right hand. We see the right hand. That's what has won him all his fight, that straight right hand. So, what do you mean you haven't seen it? That's probably the only thing he picked up from Breland. Yeah, well, I think in the Dylan White fight with Povetkin, all you have to do is make an adjustment, a little adjustment, because in the first fight, Dylan White was winning the whole fight. So, it's not like he was getting beat up by Povetkin. Povetkin just came with that punch from out of nowhere and surprised him. So, he just got to, be aware of that next time around and just fight basically the same fight he was fighting before. And I think he shouldn't have any problems. You know what I mean? He was winning that fight hands down and against Povetkin, in that first fight. So, it's not much you actually need to change in the second fight, I would think. Okay. He had a winning strategy. So unless, Povetkin is making some type of adjustment to what was going on in the first fight, but I don't know. But I would think that Dylan White should win the second fight if he just got to make an adjustment and be aware of that whole Povetkin situation that happened in the first fight. Yeah, that Joshua. It looked like that weapon. It looks like that uppercut is one of Anthony Joshua's weapons. The uppercut, because you saw the uppercut he delivered to Klitschko. It was insane. He almost took Klitschko's head off with that uppercut, and we saw. I got that picture. I saved that picture. That was a mean uppercut. Nah, I didn't see Javante dancing on Instagram, but I heard that he broke his right hand though. Or he broke. I don't know which hand he broke, but he broke his hand. Was he twerking like Deontay Wilder? Was he twerking? Was Javante twerking? Nah, Adrian, he caught Pulev with about 10 uppercuts. Joshua went uppercut crazy against Pulev. He was throwing uppercuts after uppercut after uppercut. If I was Joshua, I would be careful with those uppercuts against Fury. Fury is no joke. That's an interesting fight. I'm thinking, I'm always, I always basically, go with the boxer, most of the times, okay, depending on who it is, I tend to pick a boxer over the puncher or the brawler most of the times. So I'm thinking that Fury is probably the better boxer when it comes to Joshua, and so Joshua's gonna have to go in there and fight him like he did Klitschko. You gotta take the fight to him and don't really give him any respect in terms of trying to box with him. Okay, you'd have to go in there and mix it up, against a Fury to have a chance against Fury, I would think. But I mean, I did hear that AJ, almost knocked out Fury. Actually hurt him very badly when he was an amateur, actually, and Fury was a pro. So they brought him in for sparring, and he almost knocked Fury out. And this is not a rumor. I mean, this is what Fury himself said. Fury was the one I heard telling the story. So, I mean, that's pretty interesting. That Joshua as an amateur was able to hurt Fury. Okay, but even though that was a while back, I think that was back in 2000. Not a couple of years back. Well, so we don't know, but that's what Fury said. So I didn't hear it from somebody else. I heard it from Fury himself. So that's pretty interesting. So, that fight might be a lot tougher than we think it's going to be. I think it might be a little more difficult for Deontay Wilder, for Tyson Fury than we think it's going to be. I mean, Joshua might be a tough fight for Tyson Fury. Ben Askren, and yeah, that was a vicious knee in that fight, in that Masvidal fight. What do you think about Jake Askren and Jake Paul? Who do you think is going to win that fight? You think Jake Paul is going to knock him out again? Jake Paul actually hired Masvidal to train in that fight, upcoming fight with Ben Askren, which is pretty funny. It would be funny if Askren knocked out Jake Paul, though. Jake Paul talk a lot of shit. But he's pretty good, actually, as a boxer. I mean, as an amateur, I mean, he looks pretty good in there. But, I mean, he's fighting against guys like Nate Robinson and people like that. But he does look like he has some basic fundamentals. And I see him training, and, he look like he go hard in the training as well. So, it should be an interesting fight with Ben Askren. Okay, you think Ben will get knocked out again? Okay, that might be the case. We don't know. Jake Paul, like I said, looks pretty good as a guy who is not really a pro boxer. He doesn't look bad at all. I mean, really, But again, he's just fighting a guy that doesn't really have any real boxing experience. But against a real boxer, we don't know how he's gonna look. But so far it looks okay. I mean, it looks, he's doing what he's doing. I mean, he wants to fight Mayweather next. I think Mayweather accepted I think Mayweather accepted the fight. No, come on, man. He's not like Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey. I think I heard that Mayweather accepted the call out by Jake Paul. I think Jake Paul said something about his daughter, which was pretty disrespectful. I think the reason why Mayweather accepted that call out is because he wants to go in there and knock Jake Paul out, and I think he will. Okay, I think he's gonna go in there and really punish Paul for what he said about his daughter. Okay, it was pretty disrespectful, joke or no joke. So I think that he better be careful if he gets in there with Mayweather. Mayweather is not gonna play with him in there. He's gonna knock the shit out of him. No, I heard that fight is off. I don't think that Mayweather fight with 50 Cent is going to happen because from what Mayweather said that he wanted, in that fight, he would be winner take all. And he said that 50 Cent come in at whatever weight he wants, but it's going to be a winner take all fight. I don't think he likes 50 Cent, and he doesn't want 50 Cent to make any money off of him. And, he's going to go into that fight, and he's saying the winner should take everything. So that means that if he wins, 50 Cent is not going to get a dime. So, which is more likely what's going to happen. He's going to win. So, I don't think, I think 50 Cent, you know, is not taking that deal. He said, nah, not going for that. Yeah, I remember when Ronda Rousey said she was going to win a boxing title. She also said that she could. There were people talking about that she could beat Mayweather at the time. Remember that? She was even hyping that up herself, talking about she'd give Mayweather hell or some shit like that. Yeah, I remember that. She was written talk about drinking the Kool-Aid. Rousey was guzzling the Kool-Aid even more than Deontay Wilder was. She actually believed in all that nonsense that people was talking about her. I don't think it's any risk for Floyd fighting 50 Cent. I mean, 50 Cent's not a boxer. You know, Floyd is gonna knock him out. I mean, come on, Floyd will knock out 50 Cent. We all know that, man. Come on, you gotta be serious. 50 Cent has no chance against Floyd Mayweather, none whatsoever. If you think that 50 Cent can knock out Floyd or can win against Floyd, put your money on it. But I guarantee you, nobody that has ever bet on Floyd has ever lost. And I don't think it's going to be any different against 50 Cent. He will knock 50 Cent out. That's a safe money fight right there for anybody that wants to bet. Yeah, that Tony Yoka guy looks pretty good. You know, he's a young up and coming heavyweight, but he looks pretty good. I like what I see with him. Okay, I want to see more of him. I would like to see him. You know, he looks. You know, of all the guys that you mentioned, you know, not including Usyk or Joe Joyce, but that Tony Yoka guy looks pretty good. You know, if you exclude Usyk and Joe Joyce, F.A. Jagba, he looks okay. Hergovic, I don't know. He looks kind of robotic. Okay, he's a big, strong guy, but I think a good boxer would take him. Okay, I'm not, and he looks kind of slow to me. Well, I mean, that is true. Everybody can't be a Golden Glove boxer. Bon Wee Wee or Bon Kui Kui, however you pronounce that, Bon Wee Wee. But you know, I don't think Peterson has any chance against Mayweather. No chance in hell. Okay, forget about that, man. You can't be serious if you think that 50 Cent has a chance against Floyd Mayweather. There's no chance. I mean, you saw Floyd fight Canelo. Okay, Floyd beat Canelo. Okay, at the time, Canelo looked like he weighed about 180 pounds in that fight against Floyd. Okay, the way he was big, and you know, he hydrated up to probably up to close to 180 pounds that night, and he couldn't do nothing with Floyd. So what I mean, you think 50 Cent is gonna beat Floyd? I mean, come on, guys, there's no way it's gonna happen. Well, I don't know if 50 Cent is better than Jake Paul. I never seen Jake Paul. I never seen 50 Cent fight, but I've seen Jake Paul fight. So that would be an interesting fight. You know, Jake Paul against 50 Cent. They should fight each other, and then the winner fights Mayweather. That would be good. You know what I mean? That would be a good fight. 50 Cent against Jake Paul, and then the winner fight Floyd. No, Floyd would not make 50 Cent do a catchweight or a Mustang. Floyd said that 50 Cent could come in at whatever weight he wants to. He's not making him fight at any particular weight. He's saying that 50 Cent can come in at any weight that he wants to come in at. But his stipulation is that it's going to be winner take all. That's his only stipulation in that 50 Cent fight. Winner take all. He has no other stipulation in the fight. No weight stipulation, nothing. Just winner take all. And we know why he has that stipulation, because he's going to beat the shit out of 50 Cent. Manny Floyd should fight Manny again. Manny wasn't fighting anybody. Manny was holding the belt hostage. I'm glad they stripped him of the belt. It should have been stripped him. He wouldn't fight. He wouldn't fight Spence. He wouldn't fight. He didn't want to fight Crawford. So what the hell was he holding on to the belt for? He didn't want to fight. He didn't want to fight Yordenis Ugas. So what the hell was he holding on? He didn't want to fight Mikey Garcia. You know, what was he holding on to the belt for then? You know, he was just holding the belt hostage. I'm glad the belt is out of Manny's hands. Okay. Definitely Yordenis Ugas wants to fight somebody. So we're going to see fights, you know. Manny wanted to fight McGregor. And we all saw what happened to McGregor. He got knocked out. So that's out the window. Then he talked about he wanted to fight Ryan Garcia. I mean, you know, I mean, I don't know what that was all about. And now Ryan Garcia pulled out of that fight. So he ended up, you know, having nothing happening for him at the end of the day. Manny, made some bad decisions. He should have fought. If I was him, I would have fought Mikey Garcia, at least just to hold on to the belt. You know what I mean? And then, you know, maybe fight Spence or Crawford in a big money fight and cash out that way. I don't think Floyd would ever fight Spence or Crawford at this point in his career. I mean, what for? Okay, he's making more money out there fighting these guys out there than, you know, he's fighting all these exhibitions. What are you gonna fight a young killers like Spence and Crawford for? He's just asking for trouble to do that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Ben Wee Wee on that one. I think it would be a smart thing for Floyd to just fight, you know, do what he's doing now, fight exhibitions. Going in there against Crawford and Spence, it wouldn't be a smart move. Yeah, but Manny he was actively fighting. He beat Broner before he beat Keith. So he worked his way up to that fight. You know, he didn't just jump in there and beat Spence. He didn't just jump in there and beat Keith after not fighting for like 2-3 years like Mayweather has been doing. Even though Mayweather stays in the gym. But, you know, I mean, I think Mayweather has made all the money he needs to make. I don't think he's hungry for any money. I mean, the guy made hundreds of millions of dollars in boxing. Why keep pushing your luck? Just get out while you can. I mean, Mayweather did the smart thing. He's the smartest boxer I've seen so far when it comes to that. He got out at a point in his career where he was still good. Okay. You know, I mean, he got out the game when you're supposed to get out the game. Okay. He didn't stay in the game too long and let the game play him. He played the game. So I don't see nothing wrong with him retiring like he did. That was a smart move. Okay. I mean, the smartest thing you can do as a boxer, that's, you know, you play the game. Don't let the game play you. And that's his whole career, basically. He played the game. The game didn't play him. So, I mean, you can't hate him for that. What do you mean by hold man to a higher standard? I'm not holding him to a higher standard. I'm just saying that if he got the belt, then, you know, either fight somebody or let the belt go. Don't just hold the belt hostage. Floyd didn't hold the belt hostage. He just quit and left the belt go where they went. You know what I mean? If you're not going to fight anybody, let the belt go. You can't hold up the welterweight division because you want to hold on to the belt. You know, you want to be a champion, but you don't want to fight. If you got the belt, you're a target. Okay? That's a target on your back if you got the belt. If you don't want to be a target, then let the belt go. And that's what he did. Well, he got stripped, basically. He's in recess or whatever you want to call it. But, yeah, that was the right thing to do. Get rid of it. You can't just hold the belt and not fight anybody. At least fight somebody. I mean, even if you fight, you know, easy fights, but fight somebody. You can't just hold on to the belt and not fight anybody. I'm not trying to hold him to no higher standard. He got the right. He has earned the right to basically, you know, take the easy route, but fight. You can't just not fight anybody and expect to hold on to the belt. I'm sorry, that doesn't make any sense. Something got to give. I don't know. I hear Manny. I don't know if Manny's gonna fight Garcia. I'm hearing that Manny is gonna fight. He wants to fight Crawford now. That he lost. But if I was Crawford, I wouldn't waste my time. I mean, fight him for what? I mean, you know, what's? I mean, well, let me take that back. If you were to fight Manny, he'd probably make the biggest payday of his career fighting Manny. So even without a belt, Manny would still probably have, you know, with the pay-per-view, it'd be a big payday. So that's one reason why he could fight him. But if I was Crawford, I wouldn't really. I would rather fight your Dennis Ugas or Spence. You know, that's what I'll be aiming at. You know what I mean? So, but you know, but I'm hearing that, you know, Crawford's gonna fight Porter next. But it'd be better if he fought Manny than Porter, because he'd make more money fighting Manny than he would fighting Porter. So, you know, I don't know. You know, I don't know about being, you know, I don't really believe that Manny would be a good name on Crawford's resume, simply because Manny's 42 years old, and a lot of people are going to question that. They're going to say you fought a Manny when he's 42 years old. Also, Manny, it's not like Manny has an oath to give up, to lose. Manny's been on many people's resume. He's been knocked out before, you know. He's lost to many different guys. He's on many guys' resume. So it's not like it's anything new to be on Crawford's resume. It's no big deal. I don't see where the value is in terms of that. The resume, the resume issue. I don't really see it, because, you know, he lost to a lot of guys, and so it's nothing new. You know, if he had just lost 1 or 2 fights, then yeah. But he just lost like 8 fights or something like that. So having him on your resume at 42 years old is not nothing to brag about. I don't think. You know, I don't see that. I don't see much bragging rights in that at all. Am I a Spencer or a Crawford fan? I'm a boxing fan. I like boxing. But at the end of the day, I think Spence is ducking Crawford. And every chance I get, I say that. Spence is ducking Crawford. And, you know, it is what it is. And people can say what they want. But, you know, when you say Spence is ducking Crawford, nobody wants to admit that. But they always talk about how Canelo is ducking this guy or that guy. But they never say Spence is ducking. Crawford has been calling this guy out for 3 years. Okay. And Spence has made all kind of excuses on the other side of the street. 70-30, 60-40. You know, every time that, you know, he's supposed to fight Crawford, he comes with a new excuse. And so he's ducking. And he doesn't want no smoke with Crawford, because I think he believes that Crawford's going to stop him. Yeah, without a doubt, he's definitely ducking Crawford. Without a doubt. And it's to the point now where it's shameless. You know, he's ducking Crawford shamelessly. Crawford even called him out to his face and told him that he's ducking him, and he still don't want to fight Crawford. When a guy come up in your face and tell you that you're ducking him, and even when the guy's sister is calling you out, I mean, you know, at that point, man, you know, you got to really step up and do what you need to do. But he hasn't done none of that. Oh man, why you want to do that to Gary Russell? you Crawford would swallow Gary Russell in one bite. He wouldn't even be able to chew Gary Russell. There would be nothing there to chew. He just swallow him in one bite. That's a mismatch. You know, with all the talk that Gary Russell talk, you know, people, you know, I mean, that's a joke. I wouldn't even want to see that fight. It's a joke fight. That's a circus sideshow. That wouldn't even be a fight. One slap and Gary Russell will be out of there. Yeah, Gary Russell do talk too much. You know, he talk a lot of crap. And he's been at 126 pounds from the very beginning. Never moved up 1 inch. He could. I don't know why this guy don't move up and fight at 130 pounds. You know what I'm saying? Fight at 130 pounds. You know what I mean? There's a lot of fights up there for him, but he's still down at 126, trying to beat up on those guys, to bully those guys down to 136, at 126 pounds. You know, he's a bully. He's down there weight bullying those guys at 126 pounds. You know, I mean, he's been doing that since the Olympics, actually. He used to fight one weight above the weight that he was actually supposed to fight at. That's why he had passed out in that hotel room, you know, before the Olympics. It didn't actually get to fight in the Olympics because he had passed out, you know, weight draining himself, you know what I mean? So we don't know. But Gary Russell is just talk. He don't really, I mean, Gary Russell got a lot of good skills, but he's not really fighting nobody, and he's fighting once a year. Maybe if you're lucky, we might get one fight out of him for a year. So, you know, that guy is just basically, his career is basically, you know, not much to really write home about. Yeah, I agree with you, Adrian. You know, you saw when Crawford was all up in his face, you know, pinching his stomach, calling him fat. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't want no smoke with Crawford. Gary Russell, he don't want Devin Haney either. We saw that whole Gary Russell Devin Haney thing play out, and we saw that Gary Russell was just capping at the end of the day. He didn't want to fight Devin Haney. You know, Devin Haney caught him slipping and called him out when Russell was trying to call out Crawford, and you know, Devin Haney did everything, you know, to duck that fight with Haney, talking about the contract this and the contract that, and all kind of foolishness. He never wanted that fight with Haney. He realized that Haney would whoop that ass, and so he did everything to duck that fight. Haney, I mean, Gary Russell is not serious, man. He does a lot of talking, but he doesn't, you know, it doesn't translate into much action. You know, he got more bark than bite. Yeah, well, I think Crawford could beat Spence too, but we don't know how the fight would actually play out. It could be an interesting fight, but if I was to put money on it, I would put it on Crawford. Yeah, I saw that, Adrian. As a matter of fact, I saw when Crawford called him out and, you know, fight for the belt, and he said that I'd rather take the easy route and fight Porter. I did a video. I did a couple of videos on that. Yeah, don't play with me, shorty. Gary Russell Jr. He's good at talking. Like I said, he's like one of those dogs that got more bark than bite. He can bark, you know, a lot, but you know, he doesn't bite very hard. He doesn't do much biting. Oh, it wasn't just Crawford that was laughing, Adrian. That everybody there was laughing. All the guys that were standing around was laughing, including Bob Arum. Everybody was laughing at Spence when he said that. Arum smirked, and some of the guys smirked, and some laughed. You know, it was embarrassing for Spence in that whole situation there. You know, he made himself look, you know, not too good right there. Hey, no, you can't blame Al Heyman. Don't blame Al Heyman. Let me tell you something about that, okay? Let's examine what happened recently. We saw that Bob Arum came out and said that Al Heyman is amenable to the fight. That means Al Heyman wouldn't mind making the fight with Crawford and Spence. And the reason why I believe that is because even though I've heard that from other sources besides Bob Arum, I believe that because the network's going to make that fight as well. It's a big fight, okay? It's probably the biggest fight in boxing next to the Joshua and Fury fight. So the networks want to fight. The PBC wants to fight. Top Rank wants to fight. Crawford wants to fight. The only person that don't want to fight is Spence, okay? The networks definitely want to fight. The boxing commentators want to fight. Everybody in boxing want to fight. The fans want to fight. Al Heyman wants to fight. Top Rank wants to fight. Bob Arum wants to fight. Crawford wants to fight. Crawford's team want to fight. The only person that don't want to fight is Spence. Yeah, I mean, I hear the talk about Bob Arum as a liar and all that, But I didn't hear Al Heyman come out and refute what Bob Arum was saying. Nobody came out and said Bob Arum was lying. Okay, nobody said that. And we heard what Spence said. After Bob Arum said that, what did Spence say? Spence came out and said that the suits, quote unquote, the suits, they should take a pay cut. And, why do they want him to take a pay cut? And he's not going to just listen to what the suits say and just shut up and fight. So what does that tell you when he said the suits? I mean, the last time I checked, Al Heyman wore a suit. Al Heyman is a suit. So when Spence is coming out and saying the suits are telling him to just shut up and fight and take a pay cut, I believe that, Al Heyman probably approached him and said, listen, man, take the fight. It's forget about all this 60-40 nonsense. It's a big fight. You're going to make money. Everybody's going to make money. Just take the fight and just take it 50-50. And so, but he's not going to come out and say that, Al Heyman is telling him to take the fight. So he just says suits. Okay? And that's what I think is going on with that. I think Bob Arum hit the nail on the head. Because I heard, from sources besides Bob Arum, that people inside the PBC, are saying that Spence don't want that fight. Okay, the PBC is saying that. So, at the end of the day, I think that what Bob Arum said is true in this case. Spence really don't want the fight. That's why he's making all these excuses. I mean, why would you want that fight? You're going to tell the guy, Crawford, who's bringing you your biggest payday, that's going to be the biggest money fight for Spence ever in his career. The guy that's going to bring you that biggest payday, you're telling him that you want 60-40 because he's bringing you this big payday. You didn't say that with Mikey Garcia. You didn't say that with Sean Porter. You didn't say that with anybody else. You didn't negotiate in the media with anybody else. But you negotiate in the media with Crawford. You're putting up that 60-40 out there to basically, as a matter of fact, you want to fight Ugas, but you're not telling Ugas you want 60-40. You're not negotiating in the media with Ugas. You just told Ugas I want to fight you, but you're not saying nothing about 60-40. So I think that Spence don't want that fight. I don't think Spence will ever take that fight with Crawford. I think he's going to duck that fight until he retires from boxing. He's not going to fight Crawford, I don't think. He doesn't want it. I don't see him want that fight at all. I think he thinks that Crawford is going to stop him. And, when you got the guy talking about he want to move and fight Canelo and all this nonsense. I mean, and he's not even calling Canelo out. He's just saying I want to move up, and fight Canelo. So, I mean, every time they ask him about Spence, he starts talking about Canelo. It's a joke. He doesn't want the fight. I don't think he's ever going to take that fight. I think he's going to duck that fight as long as he can. And the only way we're going to get that fight with Spence and Crawford is to drag Spence kicking and screaming into the ring against Crawford for that fight to happen. That's the only way it's going to happen. It's not going to happen any other way. We're going to have to drag him into the ring. Okay? And other than that, that fight will never be made. Okay, yeah, I believe that too, Arca Mustang. I think Canelo would damage Spence. He don't have nothing. I don't think he got anything to add. I mean, at welterweight, he can't even knock out Porter. He can't even knock out Porter. He couldn't knock out Danny Garcia. He couldn't knock out Mikey Garcia. So what is he gonna do against a guy like Canelo? It doesn't make any sense. Unless when he moves up, if he moves the middleweight, he might carry some power up there that he doesn't have at welterweight. But that's not the way it usually works. It usually works if you have power at welterweight, you carry the power up with you. So if you don't have the power at welterweight, more than likely you're gonna have even less at middleweight or up there. So I don't know. Fighting Canelo to me, like I said, he's not really serious about fighting Canelo. I don't think. I just think he's just saying that because he doesn't want people to start. When people start talking about him fighting Crawford, he gotta come up with something else to talk about. So he talks about Canelo to take away the talk of people talking about him fighting Crawford. That's all it is. I don't think he's serious about it at all. He never really called out Canelo. Yeah, Crawford definitely got power. I mean, we saw what happened. He's been knocking everybody out. He's been fighting, and he got some real sneaky power in there. I think that's what Spence is afraid of. And not only that, but the hand speed. Crawford is very quick. If you watch him and look at his combinations, I mean, he's a very quick fighter. You know, he's very deceptively quick with his hands. Okay, quick. You know, nice, good hand speed, very fast. Yeah, exactly, Adrian. Yeah, definitely 8 stoppages. You know, he's on a run right now. He's on a knockout streak. And I think if you were to fight Spence next, that would be 9 knockouts in 9 fights. And I think Spence and his team and his trainer knows that, which is why they don't want any part of Crawford. They don't want that fight, man. I'm telling you, they don't want it. Okay, they're not going to take that fight with Crawford under no circumstances. Okay, no way that fight is going to happen. Spence don't want it. And at the end of the day, you know, you can't blame Al Heyman, because Spence is the one that has the last say in taking a fight, not Al Heyman. If the fighter don't want the fight will never happen. Just like how we see with Deontay Wilder and Fury. Fury don't want to fight Deontay Wilder. He wants to fight Joshua. So the Deontay Wilder fight is never going to happen unless Fury wants it. Both fighters got to want the fight for it to happen. If one of them don't want it, the fight will never happen. But anyway, listen, guys. You know, I've been on this thing for like 3 hours. Okay, I appreciate you guys coming through. You know, I'd appreciate if you guys would go ahead and, you know, subscribe to the channel, okay? You know, I'm going to basically sign off right here, and, you know, I'll pick it up on the next live stream. Make sure you come through again when I go live again. I usually try to go live, you know, a half an hour, maybe an hour, you know, after I post, you know, the live stream. So if you see, you know, usually that's what I do. So I'll post it an hour before, then I'll go live maybe an hour later. So look out for my next live, okay? Look out for the videos. I'll be recording some videos in the meantime, in between time. So I'm going to sign off now. I appreciate you guys coming through again. Great talking boxing with you guys. Next time, I think if any of you guys want to come on to the actual live stream and actually say something on the live stream, we can do that too. I don't have no problem with that. You know, if you guys want to talk some boxing for real and actually come onto the live stream, okay? So we can do that as well. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there, guys. Appreciate you coming through again. See you on the next go round. This is TBE Boxing. That's all I have for right now, guys. And I'm out.